Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. We are live here. We're going to be live streaming the landfall of Tropical Storm Fred here today. Oh, geez, I can hear myself speak again. It is 1:25 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on August 16th. So it's that's around the time frame in which this is currently happening. If you're watching this after the fact, please be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for whenever I do live stream or whenever I upload videos. We'll be putting up all sorts of different analysis here for you all sorts of different data that we have at our disposal here for today. So I appreciate everyone who's came out here so far today. And yeah, let's go into it a little bit. Tropical Storm Fred has continued to stay at the strength of a 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm. The next advisory is within the next 30 minutes, so we'll have an update as to what this will be further on. The recon data here from the hurricane hunters do indicate that this thing has weakened just a smidge, so that's another thing there to keep in mind from this. But this system is continuing to move on through, and it is still trying to intensify further. There's been consistently higher amounts of winds across the board. If we actually take a look at a better way to find reconnaissance data, if we go to this picture right here, we can see that at flight level, there's a couple of these little pink numbers. For whatever reason, I cannot pull up. Sheesh. Please tell me that I can pick up Epic Pen. Nope. Epic Pen is just not going to function for me right now. So that's unfortunate. I might have to actually do a couple things with that. Sheesh. Yeah, apologize for the backgrounds if people don't like that stuff. Yeah, my Epic Pen does not want to work today for whatever reason. All right, well, I'll have to probably reinstall Epic Pen here later. But the big thing here is that there's a lot of reconnaissance data here that are showing that there's a lot of hurricane force winds at flight level. So there's definitely some activity here in regards to this tropical system. And if we actually go here to, let's go to the quad panel here, and I'll refresh this here for you all so you guys can see that, and we can even see the satellite imagery right there. We got a lot of areas to look out for. We got St. George Island on the top right screen. We have on the top left screen Panama City, Florida. And so we're expecting landfall to be somewhere in between the two, which is the reason why we have our webcams out here for you all. And yeah, so this will be pretty interesting to look out for. I like the camera here at St. George's Island because you can actually see the trees and how rough those are, as well as the seas. You can see all the foam coming off of all of the waves there too. So this is really interesting to say the least. I don't see a whole lot of convection bubbling up with this. The wind shear seems to be tilting the vortex more and more. So I don't think it'll be a hurricane by the time it makes landfall. But I do think that this thing could be a strong tropical storm as this heads on through. So let's pull up Epic Pen and let us uninstall this. Because unfortunately, Epic Pen is just going to continue to not function correctly. Yes, we're going to remove Epic Pen. There we go. Hopefully we can load Epic Pen in again, hopefully. Go to my downloads, Epic Pen setup. .exe. Yeah, so just give me a second here as I try and re-download my drawing tool here. Yes, I want to download it. I accept the agreement, of course. Next. Yes, next, next, next. Next. I think we should be good here. For the most part. Yeah, we love the anime background. Seems legit. Yeah, thanks to the people who came out on Twitch too. I really do appreciate that. How is Bradenton going to be impacted? Well, if I can get my Epic Pen here, I can be able to show you all here. Refresh. There's Epic Pen. It's now downloaded again. And we got everything good. So we should be good with that. Alright, so we're going to ignore the update for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and find out where Bradenton is first off. No offense, but I don't live down here. So Bradenton, Florida, which is over south of Tampa. So you guys are going to be fine. I believe you guys are going to be spared for the most part from this event. You can see the imagery of radar here, and most of these showers and thunderstorms could be heading off towards the Bradenton, Tampa vicinity, but the actual strong, intense winds and rain are going to be near the center area of low pressure, which is heading off towards Port St. Joe. So that's the big thing here as this continues to propagate further northward, and how this will continue to progress is the real question. Let's actually, yeah, let's keep it on this here for now. But that's the big thing here as to how this continues to move on through. Redzer, what's up? How do? As I said, if you guys haven't already, please be sure to leave a like on the live stream. Leaving a like on the live stream actually gets this video out to more people. And so, and basically how that works is it tells YouTube's algorithm that people enjoy the content, and so it sends it out to more people, and the video gets spread more and more. So if people click it, then they'll be able to join and all sorts of stuff. So we can also use this to get information out as to whether there's evacuation orders, whether or not there is more warnings. There could potentially be some tornado warnings here today when we talk about this tropical system and how it makes landfall. So that's the reason why I ask you guys to really help me out with all of that. So like the video if you haven't already on YouTube, subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already, follow if you haven't already on Twitch. We'll be continuing to cover this as much as possible. As I said, I am live streaming on both YouTube and Twitch here today. So if you haven't already followed me on Twitch, feel free to do so there. But we can clearly see the center area of low pressure with this tropical system. I mean, look at this. This thing is a clear spin with this counterclockwise spin associated. These are the bands that I'm worried about right here. Anywhere outlined within that black line, I know part of it got, blocked out because my face is in the way or my webcam's in the way. But those bands right there are the things that I'm most concerned about, because these could potentially produce some things that could be tornadic. And that's the reason why there is a tornado watch out there currently in effect for some portions of Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. Let's see what else I can do here. I'm going to actually put a link to my Twitch in the chat here. So if you guys want to go over to Twitch, the funny thing about Twitch is that, you know, of course YouTube's the larger platform, so I'd prefer that you guys would stay on YouTube. But Twitch, you can actually hear the, you can actually get the live stream quicker for whatever reason, I don't know. So I'm gonna be trying to, obviously stream on both platforms, but if you were to follow me on Twitch, that would be greatly appreciated as well. So let's see what we can do here. National Hurricane Center right here. We'll pull up Twitter. Heard that the northeastern side of tropical storms is more dangerous and unstable. I wonder why that is. It's because most stuff typically consolidates right around that area. It's because most of the activity within tropical systems consolidate within that area, as well as shear tends to be a bit more flamboyant to amplify that. So that's an interesting thing there. Tropical Depression Grace, that's the advisory for that, so that's been issued. Tropical Depression 8 advisory has also been issued as well. So that's another thing there. Let's take a look and see. Yep, there it is. So the latest advisory for Grace, still a 35-mile-per-hour storm. Continues to move through Hispaniola through Tuesday. Boy, poor Haiti with the earthquakes that it's had. And now, since it's going to be getting some torrential rainfall down there as well. Poor Haiti, man. Poor Haiti. Then we also have Tropical Depression 8, which is still expected to become not a hurricane, a tropical storm. I don't think it'll become a hurricane unless if it really starts to intensify within the next 48 hours. But still, something interesting to make a note of with that. Let's take a look at some of the model guidance here. I haven't reacted to the latest guidance for Grace because there is another tropical storm or tropical depression that's in the Atlantic. We can actually take a look at the overall look for where these tropical systems are. And here's Fred. You can tell that Fred is really close to the United States just based off of how this is all formed. And then we also have the two other storms, Grace down here, which originally was a tropical storm. It's not a tropical storm anymore, and that's mainly because it's interacting with a lot of the land over there. Typically, when tropical systems go over land, it encounters a lot of friction, and it displaces a lot of the thunderstorms, so it can't really like wrap up very quickly at all. It ends up slowing it down. And so we have that there. We also have Tropical Depression 8, which, as I said, is expected to become a tropical storm. That would be Tropical Storm Henri, if all things do go well with that. So, as I said, more things to watch out for as this continues to progress. But there's Grace, and if we take a look at the models for Grace here, this is the HWRF model, which I'll have to admit can get a little bit extreme sometimes. This model is really good for predicting rapid intensification, which is just basically an amplification of a thunderstorm within a short period of time, or even a tropical system within a short period of time. But that could also come with a bit of a catch to where it can basically over predict the intensity sometimes. So it can be a lot stronger than it actually is. So let's take a look here and see what this latest run that just came out is. Because I uploaded a video this morning, and it was a lot different than what this is, I'm assuming. So the center area of low pressure actually goes into Haiti, and then it reforms here next to Jamaica, in between Jamaica and Cuba. It continues to head off towards the Cayman Islands as a tropical storm, which is kind of expected. Actually intensifies further as it continues to get closer and closer towards the Yucatan Peninsula. And then as this continues to move on through, it actually misses the Yucatan Peninsula. So that's a big thing there. That's a big change. That's a very big change. Because before it actually hit the Yucatan Peninsula and it weakened it a bit. But now we're actually looking at this as it continues to move on through, and that's where it ends up. That's where the HWRF model ends, which is right here in the northern portion of the Yucatan Peninsula as a potential. Let's actually go to the winds here. We can see what the winds are of this tropical system here. The maximum wind is 67 knots, which would be 75 miles per hour. So that's a hurricane right there, according to the HWRF model, as this continues to move on through. So really something that we got to watch out for, especially as this could be propagating further westward and could impact places like Mexico and even southern portions of Texas. And southern portions of Texas even got hit by a tropical system last year. It got hit, if you guys remember correctly, it was either a Category 1 or a Category 2 hurricane named Hurricane Hannah. And when Hannah came over there, it wasn't exactly, you know, of course it wasn't the strongest thing in the world, but it still made its impacts and created a substantial amount of storm surge. So we really got to watch out for this, because if this model does come into fruition, if it does end up being a strong hurricane as this moves west, which I'm saying if it can get over the Gulf of Mexico, it will become a hurricane. All right, that's no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind that this will become a hurricane once it gets over here. It's where this will go afterwards is what we have to watch out for. So you guys remember a couple days ago when I was talking about on my tropical update, which I do tropical updates every evening at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. I won't be able to do it tonight or tomorrow because I have a Zoom meeting that I have to attend to. But from then on, I will be doing tropical updates at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. And I did it a couple days ago. I said, we really have to watch out for how Grace conducts itself around Hispaniola, because there's Haiti, there's the Dominican Republic. It's got a bunch of mountains over there. And as I said, land typically rips up thunderstorms. Land typically rips up hurricanes and tropical systems and all sorts of activity like that. So, you know, how this does with land can determine as to what actually happens further on. And because this has ended up going a bit further south than anticipated, it won't encounter a lot of land per se. I mean, I say that, and there's a lot of showers and thunderstorms that go over the Dominican Republic, but the actual center area of low pressure, the thing that is the most crucial part of the tropical system, doesn't really encounter too much land. So that's the one thing there that is kind of interesting from this tropical system. I want to take a look real quickly here at this giant radar of Fred, and you can see how expansive this is, but you also see these little polygons, these little boxes across the board. And the interesting thing about this is that these these little polygons across the board actually mean tropical storm warnings. And so we got a plethora of tropical storm warnings across the board here, heading off into places of Alabama and Georgia. We also have a tornado watch that's in effect in and around those giant general vicinities as well. And then this blue polygon, this kind of purple blue polygon, that's a storm surge warning. And according to the National Hurricane Center, storm surge could also be in upwards of 5 feet in some spots, which is very, very high storm surge for this type of tropical system here. So we really have to watch out for that. Now, the interesting thing here with this program here called Radar Omega is that we can actually turn this all into 3D, and we can look at this tropical system as it progresses. And look at this. Look at how cool that is, guys. Look at how cool that is. Oh my. Yeah, look at that. Turns into a whole... Let's see if I can just make it a bit shorter. Yeah, look at that. That right there takes the cake for coolness, I gotta say. If this can load a bit further, we'd be able to get more and more of a loop from this. But this is really interesting to see. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Look at that 3D imagery right there, guys. That's pretty insane. Could I technically see tornadoes on the 3D? Yes, I can, but it would be with another program. It'd be with another program that I could see 3Ds from. But this is pretty cool to see. And you can even see all the bands. I was talking about these outer bands from the tropical system in another video, and even my live stream last night, these little bands right here. You can see those outer bands and how it propagates into the tropical system. Actually, if I pull away my face here and I hide it for a second, you'll be able to see the full picture. Look at that. Look at how this thing progresses. That is cooler than cool. What program is this? This is Radar Omega. So it's a $9 program that you can get on your phone. But if you were to get it on your computer, you'd have to get some sort of subscription for it. Any subscription. There's 3 subscriptions there. One of which is pretty cheap for an annual fee. And you'd be able to get it on your computer, and you can do the exact same stuff on here. And the cool thing about this as well is that not only do we have 3D for radar, but we also have 3D for satellite too. So if we go over here and we take a look at Mesoscale 2, which I believe that is what this tropical system is under. We will be able to hopefully see. There we go. So now we have the satellite imagery, but we can also see it in 3D. Look at this. Look at that. Look at how that progresses too. I mean, sheesh, that's pretty cool. Because this tells you the cloud tops with this. Tells you how tall these thunderstorms actually are. Because that's what infrared satellite does. Infrared satellite basically looks at the color, looks at the tops of these thunderstorms and shows you how cold they actually are. And so the colder the tops of the thunderstorms, the higher up in the atmosphere they are. And so we're looking at that on infrared satellite, and we're seeing all of that right there on the program. Looks like it's made with 1,000 Minecraft blocks, and it's supposed to look like that. Because if it was like very, fine-tuned, then it would probably crash my computer. But but this is this just gives you a perspective as to how tall these thunderstorms actually are, how tall these cloud tops actually are. And if you guys think of it this way too, if we ever cover, say, a hurricane, say a major hurricane with an eye that hits the United States, which of course, we wish that never happens this season, although eventually it'll happen, whether it's this year, next year, the year after that, just like what happened last year. Eventually, a strong hurricane will make impacts on the United States somewhere. But if we do have that, think of what it would look like with the satellite imagery. We'll be able to see the full inner eye wall structure with this. And that's just, that's pretty exciting to me, if I do say so myself. So what's up, Ghost Dragon? Nice to see you from Canada. If you guys are enjoying the content, by the way, with all these different programs and stuff like that, please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on notifications because we do updates most likely every single day. We also do tropical updates at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time every single day, except for tonight and tomorrow, because I do have some stuff outside of YouTube that I have to attend to. And then like the live stream. By liking the live stream, it gets it out to more and more people. And especially since we have a bunch of information, potentially some tornado warnings in the future that will happen on the northeastern side of this tropical system. Some people may be able, may need this information in order to conduct themselves. Plan their day ahead. And even if there's emergency evacuation orders as well, we'll be able to have all that information out for you all. Chris, what's up? Welcome to the live stream. Nice to see you here. Let's go on to let's go to GR2 Analyst here. And you can see the actual center area of low pressure is getting very, very close to the coast here. Look at this. Very close. We also have a couple storm chasers here who are actually right in the path of this. We have a couple in Mexico Beach. We have a couple in Indian Pass. Stas, who's popular on Twitter. He's over down here at the tip near Indian Pass, near Apalachicola. But then we also have some other areas here. Further down towards Carabel, as well as the St. Teresa areas. You guys are having some strong feeder bands that are heading in through that could potentially be producing some things that are tornadic. So really need to watch out for that. The cool thing about this program as well is I showed you all the 3D imagery before on Radar Omega, but we can also do this here on GR2 Analyst as well. Look at this. Look at this right here, guys. We can get this up for you. Boom. Look at that. We can even see the cloud structure here. This is how defined this 3D imagery can be from the radar right here. You can see the outer bands on the western side right over here. You can see how it's a bit weaker on the eastern side, mainly because of the dry air that's seeping in. So the more the dry air there is, the more lack of thunderstorms there will be. So really interesting to say the least as this continues to move on through. And we can even see this as it gets closer and closer onshore. I mean, look at that. Look at that, guys. That's pretty insane. So now I heard some people talk about, well, ask about, I should say, well, what about these areas further inland? What about Tallahassee, areas near I-10, even up into Alabama? What about those areas? Well, you guys aren't going to be impacted as heavily as the places along the coast, but you guys could potentially get some showers and thunderstorms that could even be tornadic there too as well. So it's all the more to watch out for as this continues to progress. As this tropical system does continue to move on northward, of course, winds are going to intensify further. So I'd say probably late this evening into early tomorrow morning, when it's actually around your general vicinity, the winds are going to start to pick up. But I would continue to watch out for these storms all the way through until these officially pass, which will be most likely tomorrow evening. Now, of course, you're just getting scattered showers and thunderstorms up here in the border of Georgia and Alabama. But once these bands start to surge a bit further inland, that's what you guys really have to watch out for. That's what everyone here, especially around Tallahassee, Perry, anywhere around the Big Bend of Florida, even up towards I-10, really have to watch out for that. So yeah, we are watching out for the landfall here of this tropical system as it continues to move off towards the north, as it gets closer and closer towards the Florida coast here near Apalachicola and Panama City. Let's actually let's take a look. Let me get my cameras ready here for you all so that I don't look like an idiot. And then I'll actually go over to satellite imagery right here. And let's go over here to our quad panel. On the top left-hand side, we got Panama City. On the top right, we have St. George Island, which is right next to Apalachicola. That's expected to where this system is going to be making landfall, right around that area. On the bottom right-hand side, we got the satellite imagery there of Tropical Storm Fred, provided by College of DuPage. And then on the bottom left-hand side, that's the radar imagery from GR2 Analyst, or Gibson Ridge Radar Analyst. So really interesting to say the least. The thing that I actually enjoy the most from this imagery is on the top right-hand side, you can see St. George Island. You can see the trees and how it's swaying from side to side. And so you can actually see that there is quite a plethora amount of damaging winds there from this tropical system. And we're going to be most likely seeing more and more activity from this here soon as another band of showers and thunderstorms will be heading off into that island there. So just really interesting to say the least as this continues to move on forward. And even if we take a look at a couple of these beaches here, as I said, this right here is St. George's Island. This is right next to Apalachicola, and then right above me is Panama City Beach. And so we're taking a look at all different activity there. Take a look at how white the ocean is. Look at all the foam that's coming off of those waves. That's some strong damaging winds that are pushing those waves further and further, and that's how storm surge is created. You have these winds that kind of back these winds and give it a little extra shove as it continues to get closer and closer towards the coast. And so really interesting to say the least as to how strong the storm surge, how tall the storm surge could potentially be, and how this could potentially continue to move on through. Let's see. Let's do that. There we go. Fixed it. There we go. Fixed a little bit of that. Why is my display capture over there? There we go. Fix that a bit. I don't know why my display capture was over there. But pretty interesting to see. Let's take a look at the latest recon analysis here. Streamception, I know, right? You even saw someone else's stream in there because I keep my eyes on everything. Try and see what my competitors are up to. Because why not? Because why not? Anyway, so here's the latest recon analysis. The hurricane hunters as to what they are doing here. And you can see the pathway pretty congealed once you get towards the center of this tropical system. But what I want to do here actually is I want to go... I'm going to pull up a satellite image here of... Goes east, mesoscale, and we're gonna do black and white. And hopefully this should pull up. Yeah, here we go. So now we have an idea as to where the hurricane hunters actually went through. Look at that. So you can see the pathway and what it took, how close it got towards the coast, and how it's progressed further and further. The one interesting thing here is these little circles with the numbers in the middle. Let's actually go full screen here. Let's go full screen. You can see the little numbers in the middle, the circles with the numbers. That tells you the pressure in millibars as this gets closer and closer towards the coast. So what seems to have happened is the thunderstorm activity seems to have depleted a bit, and it starts to rise in pressure. And so we are most likely seeing a decent 60-mile-per-hour tropical storm as it gets closer and closer to the U.S. And this also tells me that we most likely will not see a hurricane as this gets closer and closer towards Florida. But regardless, we do have some strong damaging wind potential across the board here. This station, this lighthouse that's just off the coast of Florida is measuring 41 knot winds sustained, which would be about 45 to 46 miles per hour. So really intense along that outer band right in there. And then we also, of course, have other stations that are across the board in that general vicinity. So we'll watch out for what they read here when they do make landfall. But you can see the pathway and what the hurricane hunters have took as this thing has progressed further and further towards the north. Now, people are asking as to what the impacts could potentially be. So let's go to the HWRF model for Fred here. And you can see how this continues to move up closer and closer towards the north. A lot of these outer bands that are swirling in on the outer side of this tropical system is something that we really have to watch out here for a tropical for a tornadic development. And then areas here in southeastern Alabama, southwestern Georgia, they even joined the fray. So Dothan, Alabama, that general vicinity over there. Even places near Thomasville, Georgia, you guys could potentially be impacted as well. So really need to watch out for this as this continues to move off to the north and east. But yeah, I'm going to list a couple areas here. As I said, Dothan, Bainbridge, Thomasville, Blakely, even up to Albany, you guys really need to watch out for this as well as this continues to move off towards the north and east. Tallahassee is going to be interesting here because they're going to be getting their main band of thunderstorms right now. But this seems to kind of dissipate a little bit more according to this model once you start to get towards the evening into the overnight hours. So just really something to watch out for as this continues to progress. And then, of course, this tropical system will continue to move up towards Ohio, create some severe weather for places of the Appalachians, like Pennsylvania and West Virginia. So I'll be getting some activity from Fred, but really interesting to say the least. Let's go over to Grace here. Let's go to the same model, HWRF model. And the thing about the HWRF model is that it's really good for the most part within a 24-hour period. Anything after that, that's when things start to get pretty wonky. And so just by looking at Grace here, and for a reminder as to what I'm talking about, right here is Grace, and it's right next to Puerto Rico, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, which pray for Haiti because Haiti's going to be getting an absorbent amount of rainfall from all of this. I mean, flash flooding is most likely going to be the case here for most of these areas, and seems how most of their infrastructure was decimated by that earthquake. You know, it could potentially be a really concerning situation for the people living in Hispaniola. But let's take a look again. Here's the HWRF model, and you can see here is Haiti, here is the Dominican Republic, and as this continues to progress, this will actually go to the southern side of Haiti, create a lot of rain here. Look at this rainfall rate here. Look at that. That is very concerning for these areas here. There's Jamaica, there's Cuba, and as this continues to progress, this is Tuesday morning into Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening right here. You can see there's a general area of low pressure here, most likely designated right about there, that will kind of try and consolidate. It's not exactly a strong tropical system at this point, but it most likely will become a tropical storm once it gets towards the Cayman Islands. And here's the Cayman Islands right here, just south of Cuba, just to the north and west of Jamaica. And so once it gets out into the open waters here, once it gets past all this land interaction, this is where things start to really ramp up a bit. And I mentioned earlier, once this tropical system gets an opportunity to get into the Gulf of Mexico, it will become a hurricane no matter where it impacts. And according to this model here, this will intensify further and further, and it will get out into the Gulf of Mexico with not a whole lot of land interaction. And so the big key thing here is, where's this tropical system going to make landfall? All right, and where this ends up making landfall is the interesting thing here is, here's the border of Texas and Mexico right there. There's South Padre Island, Brownsville. Here's Mexico, and according to this model right here, this thing apparently will most likely make landfall here in Mexico, but that's according to this model. This model is kind of like one opinion out of 100, and so we really got to pay attention to the other opinions, see if they agree. And for the most part, there are a couple that say that it does agree with this model run, but not in regards to intensity. And what I mean by intensity is, according to this model, once it gets over towards Mexico, and it doesn't hit the Yucatan Peninsula, which is near Cozumel and Cancun, if it does get out into open waters and continue to move on through, this thing rapidly intensifies into what most likely will be a Category 5 hurricane, according to this. Maximum winds in upwards of 131 knots, which is actually right on the border of Category 5 and Category 4 hurricane status, but a 921 millibar storm that is most likely going to slap into Mexico, according to this model. And that's pretty insane. I mean, if this model comes into fruition, we're going to have major impacts across the board here in Mexico. And people really need to watch out for this, because this is a big-time tropical system that'll begin to really stir up and push on through. So it's all about what this system can do as this progresses into the Gulf of Mexico. And the reason why this is all happening here and why it's going where it is if we take a look at, we're going to go to a region here, and we're going to go to the GFS. And the reason why this is happening, we're going to go to 500 millibar vorticity. So all this colored area, this is vorticity. This is where a tropical system could start to form. And if it starts to consolidate more and more, that's when you know you have a stronger tropical system. So that's an area of vorticity right here. There's one right there. That's Grace. And then we also have Tropical Depression 8, which most likely will be Tropical Storm Henri here relatively soon as well. So big things there from this model here already as we are watching this continue to unfold. But as this plays along, you can see how Grace continues to move on through. It goes south of Cuba here for the most part, but we have this big high pressure system that sits right out here. And that's the reason why Fred will continue to move off to the north, because this high pressure is steering it with a lot of wind shear. We have a lot of southwesterly wind shear that's kind of pushing this tropical system up into the general vicinity of the Appalachians. But then we also have on the opposite side of this high pressure, we have northeasterly shear that's pushing down this way. And so that's the reason why the Tropical Depression 8 will continue to move off to the east here, or to the west, I should say, as this continues to progress towards the latter stages of this week. But that wind shear will also continue to move on through here and basically hold Grace in place. So Grace, for the most part, wants to go to the north and west, but this other wind shear is pushing it south and west. So it's kind of riding along this little border here. And if you keep going along that border, it eventually goes into either southern Texas or northern portions or northeastern portions of Mexico. So it's really something that we got to watch out for as this continues to move on forward. How strong will this high pressure be, and how strong will the wind shear be, forcing this to continue to move to the south and west? If this wind shear is not as significant as this current model says it is, this thing could very easily continue to move off towards the north and east, and we could be talking about Texas and Louisiana landfalls here from this tropical system, which if this model, if the HWRF model is, coming into fruition, with it saying that it could have a major hurricane over that short distance of traveled compared from this to here, imagine from a longer distance from where Grace is now until when it gets to Texas and Louisiana, could potentially be even stronger than what that model says. So just a big thing there that we got to watch out for as to how this continues to progress into the latter stages of this week. Of course, we'll be updating you all more and more. If you guys stay tuned to the channel here, we'll be giving you guys the latest information of the tropical activity in the Atlantic, whether or not it could impact the United States, other areas that it could potentially impact. So subscribe if you're new, turn on notifications so that you stay up to date with all my content. If you guys also are enjoying this live stream, please be sure to leave a like as well. Leaving a like actually not only helps my channel grow and reaching this out to other people who may be on YouTube, but it also gets this video out that has information to people who could potentially need this. And so I would greatly appreciate it if you guys would help me in that sense of the word as to how this, how this could potentially impact some people. And thank you guys so much for everyone who is already out here, both on YouTube and on Twitch, because I am also live streaming on Twitch here too. We do have a couple of people on Twitch who are watching as well. I'm going to be trying to live stream to as many platforms as possible. That way I could just try and get as much information out as possible as well. So to all the people who are on Twitch, thank you very much. To all the people who are on YouTube, thank you very much. And if you haven't already on Twitch, you should follow. If you're watching on Twitch. If you're on YouTube and you want to watch on Twitch, the link will be in the chat right there. The funny thing about it is that my actual channel, the live stream that you guys see here, it will come out a lot quicker on Twitch as well. Now, of course, I have the larger platform on YouTube, so I have to live stream on YouTube. But on Twitch, it comes out a lot quicker, and so you'll be able to hear my reactions to most situations on Twitch a lot sooner than on YouTube. let's take a look at the reconnaissance data here again and see what's happening here. So there's Fred. We're going to refresh this. And it looks like the reconnaissance mission is over. So it looks like they are done with this, with these passes into the tropical system. Now, I am interested. I want to take a look at Grace here. Do I think Pensacola will have any severe weather today? They could potentially have some severe weather, but I don't think they're going to have too much severe weather. So I think they'll be fine. Yeah, it looks like the reconnaissance missions on Grace are all done for the most part. It is going to be making land interaction here with the Dominican Republic and Haiti. You can see how the center area of low pressure ends up being right about here, and as this continues to progress further north and westward, this will be encountering some mountainous terrain, actually. We'll be able to see if I tilt the screen a little bit further and further. You can see how the terrain here actually picks up on those mountains. Pretty cool for Google Maps. And so, you know, if this tropical system continues to move over more and more land, it'll encounter more of these mountains. And it could potentially disrupt most of these thunderstorms here, potentially weakening Grace a bit further. But really interesting to say the least as to how this continues to move on through. Yeah, as I said, you could get some severe weather in Pensacola. You could. Some of these outer bands could potentially be knocking on your door. Here's the Elgin Air Force Base radar, and you can see a couple of these showers and thunderstorms that are in this general vicinity. If I play the radar loop here for you all, you can actually see those showers and thunderstorms come into view over there in Pensacola. So really something interesting to see from this, that, you know, you guys could potentially be getting something. Not a whole lot by any stretch of the imagination, but you guys could still be getting some things here. Let's take a look at the satellite imagery here, and you can see a lot of the showers and thunderstorms that were initially blowing up here has now started to seed a little bit, and that has led to a bit more of a weakening phase for Fred. You can also see the lower level circulation here, these clouds that are moving relatively fast here towards the surface. And so that's really interesting to see as to how rapid that is. So you have your lower level vortex, which is right there, your mid-level vortex, which is about, I'd say, right about here. And you got a lot of this shear that's displacing the vortex more and more. So it still is... it still has the potential for it to continue to intensify, but it seems as if the wind shear is definitely playing a role in regards to the intensity of this tropical system. So I think for right now, I think Fred, this is about the ceiling of which Fred will continue to move on through. I think 60 miles per hour is most likely going to be the case. We haven't talked about the new advisory for Fred, and they actually increased it to 65 miles per hour. So that's one thing there. So 65 miles per hour, I think, is going to be the ceiling for the most part. I think the next advisory that it has, it will most likely have a landfall by then. So we'll, you know, we won't be talking about the intensification of it anymore. It'll just be over land, and it will weaken continuously. But that's the big thing there. That's the big thing there with Fred, and how it continues to move to the north-northeast at 9 miles per hour. Let's go to our quad image here. I'll refresh the page here for you all. I am gonna go to the bathroom here in a second. Hopefully I'll get an image here from St. George Island. Hopefully. We pray. We pray. And we might not. I mean, we might not be able to get something from St. George Island. Sheesh. That's unfortunate. So let's, I think we have another camera here somewhere. I'd have to just keep backtracking until Kingdom Come. So excuse me here. There we go. And we're going to take a look at Carabel, which is just to the north and east of that. You can see the winds here with this too. You can see the surf here at the bay as that continues to move on through as well. So let's edit that text there to Carabel, Florida. Is there any reconnaissance at the moment? There was, but they decided to head back home, so there isn't going to be a whole lot at the moment. But yeah, there's the analysis for all that. Is there seriously a tornado warning in Texas? Yes, there is. There is a tornado warning in Texas over there, so we actually might have to take a look at that in a second. I'll open another page here in a bit. But I am going to go to the bathroom here real quickly, so just give me a minute, and I will talk about the tornado warning that's in the middle of Texas for whatever reason. Alright, there we go. Everything is all good here. Sheesh. You've been on St. George Island a while back in 2018. Much of the area is pretty flat. Well, that would make a lot of sense. That means storm surge is most likely going to go over much of the island. Seems how storm surge is 3 to 5 feet over there. Alright, we're back. Told you all. I just had to take a little bit of a break. But we do have our live analysis here of Tropical Storm Fred, a 65-mile-per-hour tropical storm that is making landfall here right near Panama City Beach. Right near Panama City Beach. You can see on the top left-hand corner, there's Panama City, Florida. On the top right-hand, there is a camera out of Carabel, Florida, which is just to the north and east of Apalachicola, which, if you don't know where Apalachicola is in Florida, it's just south of Tallahassee. On the bottom left-hand side, we got our radar imagery showing our rain and how the center of Fred is progressing. On the bottom right-hand corner, you can see that we have our satellite imagery showing the showers and thunderstorms as this continues to move off towards the north. So let's actually go over here to Radar Omega here. We'll show you the radar first. We'll show you the radar of this thing. And we'll do it from... it's that glitch again. It's that weird glitch. So there's this glitch to where you can get smoothed... you can get smooth 3D of velocities on Radar Omega. It's pretty funny. So for people who have Radar Omega, you know. It's kind of funny though. But we'll go back to reflectivity here, and you can see how this tropical system continues to really impress. I mean, we got some really nice outer bands with this. We got a lot of warnings here. That's what the polygons are for the most part. So you can see how these boxes up here in Florida, Alabama, and Georgia, as well as these little weird polygons off of the coast over here. That all is tropical storm warnings. These little blue boxes right over here, these are, well, blue-purple boxes, I should say. These are storm surge warnings, and storm surge could be in upwards of 2 to 5 feet in some spots, especially out near Apalachicola and further east of that. Anywhere around here, the potential for some storm surge to be above 3 to 5 feet is possible, so really got to watch out for that. And then of course, there is a tornado watch that is in effect for most of the areas here, specifically around Tallahassee. So we really got to watch out for that and how this continues to progress as well. But the cool thing about Radar Omega here is that you can actually see 3D imagery from this based off of the radar. And I'll pull this up here. Look at this. Look at this 3D imagery right here. Look at how cool that is. You can see all the different bands, the heights of the showers and thunderstorms that are pushing on through. Imagine if there is a, you know, of course we never want this to ever happen, but imagine if there is a major hurricane that's going to make landfall in the United States near a radar. We'll be able to see the eye of this thing as this continues to get closer and closer. That's pretty cool. That's something to get excited about for future live streams. So if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. But I mean, look at that. We got some really nice 3D imagery here from this radar product. And there's Apalachicola for people who are curious. But the other thing here too is that we also have satellite imagery up here as well. I will update the Cayman Islands here in a second. There's new information from Grace that just came out. So I'll tell you guys about it here in a second. Let's go to the mesoscale number 2. All my kitties, what's up? Welcome to the stream. And we are going to pull up the infrared satellite here. The cool thing about this product too is that we also have satellite imagery from this. I'll play a loop here of the satellite imagery, and you can see there was a lot of blacks earlier today, and that indicated a lot of strong, deep convection that was very robust. Very robust for the most part. And now, as of late, that convection is kind of withered away a little. There's not as many blacks. I mean, there's a couple areas that have popped up every now and then, but there's not as much activity as there once was. And so that has hindered the intensification of this tropical system even more as this continues to move off towards the north, towards Panama City. So that's just an interesting thing that I saw based off of satellite here, is that there isn't really as much activity here as there once was. But similar to the radar, we can also see the 3D imagery of these clouds too. Look at this. Look at this 3D imagery here for the most part. Look at that. You can see the spin right within here and how this continues to move counterclockwise. You can see the outer bands on the eastern side of the storm and how that has progressed. Very interesting imagery here. And as I said, if there's a major tropical system that gets out over the Atlantic or even hits the United States, think of how cool it will look if there's an eye in all this. That right there, I'm super excited about for the future. I'm not sure about you guys, but I am very excited about all that. Afternoon, Linda. Afternoon. So one final thing here before I start talking about Grace is that there is a tornado warning at the moment. It is not in anywhere near the tropical system. It is actually a separate system, a severe system that is actually propagating over Texas. So I do want to talk about that here real quickly as soon as my radar does load. And this is in the northern panhandle of Texas, just to the north of Pampa, just to the north and east of Amarillo. And so if you guys live here in Roberts County, you guys have a tornado warning, which will be in effect until 1:45 p.m. Central Daylight Time. It's expected to remain over mainly rural areas, which is the good news here. But just by taking a look at the imagery here from radar, you can see there's the classic hook signature right within here. The inflow to which this thunderstorm takes in its energy is right within that area of lesser amounts of rain, which is the green area right here. And so right about here is where I would expect the actual rotation to be. So if you guys live anywhere along this little line here, State Highway 70 north of Pampa, guys really need to watch out for the system. Get underground or get into your lowest innermost part of your building, particularly a bathroom or a closet with no windows, so you can put as many walls between yourself and the tornadic rotation as possible. Speaking of tornadic rotation, let's take a look at the velocities of this thing, and it's not looking exactly like what I thought it would. I mean, I didn't expect there to be a lot of tornadic potential today anyways, but there isn't really a whole lot of rotation on the system. The greens you see on your screen are winds moving towards the radar, and the reds are winds moving away from the radar. So you have one over there, one over there. I would assume that what they're looking at for a rotation is somewhere right within there. Let's see if I can back it up a little bit more. And there it is. There's the rotation right here. So it actually has moved a bit further to the south and east. So you had greens moving towards the radar, reds moving away. Right in the middle, this counterclockwise rotation is what they were warning this for. So really something to watch out for as this continues to move on through. It's continuing to expected to move south and east, eventually towards Pampa, actually. So the Hoover, Heaton, Pampa areas near United States Route 60, guys really need to watch out for this system as this continues to try and take shape. I mean, it's encountering a lot of issues, but it is still trying to become a tornadic storm. So definitely something to keep in mind with that. Shell Renee, what's up? Welcome to the live stream. Nice to see you. Salty Waffle, afternoon to yourself. How's it going, everyone? How's everyone's day going so far? Take this with a grain of salt, but according to multiple people, we're in a 7-day period of possible powerful earthquake. Is likely with how insane 2021 has been with earthquakes. The thing of it is with earthquakes is that it's kind of been a domino effect as of right now. We had the massive earthquake in Alaska, and now across the entire United States, there's been seismic unrest across the board. So, a lot of activity for the most part. Checking my Twitter. There's significant damage report. Interesting. Okay, so someone sent a spotter network. Thank you, Flasty, for adding me on Twitter. Which, by the way, if you guys find anything on Twitter, feel free to @me at Nate_Snyder. We're only surprisingly, and I say surprisingly because I'm actually genuinely surprised, we're 65 followers away from 1,000 followers on Twitter. So we have a little bit of a following over here, but there is a report here from Spotter Network of roof damage to a home with siding and roof material all over the road. That was near Royal Bluff, Florida. So if we go back over here to Tallahassee, we might be able to pull it up. And there it is by Mike Scantlin. This is where the damage was over near Carabel. And we actually do have a camera over there in Carabel at the moment. So that's pretty interesting to say the least. And we'll continue to update you all with all of that. Let's see. Afternoon, Joe. Do I think there will be a possible U.S. landfall with a system near Bermuda? I don't think that will be the case for the most part. I'll talk about that a bit more after I talk about Grace, because I do want to talk about Grace for the friend who is from the Cayman Islands here. So we'll show up the radar here. This is the HWRF model with Grace here. Because for people who didn't know, there actually is another tropical system out behind this. There actually is another one, and someone else was asking about the tropical system near Bermuda. That's Tropical Depression 8 right here. They were asking as to whether or not this thing could potentially make landfall in the United States. I personally don't think that that will be the case, although there's a couple models that think it'll head off into that general vicinity. But here's Tropical Depression 8. Here's Tropical Depression Grace. It was a tropical storm. It weakened now because it's encountered a lot of land interaction. But here's the latest model guidance on tropical depression Grace. And as this continues to move on through the Dominican Republic and Haiti, which pray for Haiti, man, because they had their earthquake over there, the magnitude 7 earthquake out in that general vicinity. And most of their infrastructure is, damaged. Unfortunately, a lot of people have died over there, and they're not only getting, a rip in their infrastructure, but they also could potentially be seeing some flash flooding across most of these areas. And seems how most of the infrastructure has been severely damaged. A lot of these people are not going to have shelter in the way of all of this. So pray for them over the next couple of days, because it's going to be pretty bad over there for the most part. But after that moves through Hispaniola, this tropical system ends up kind of splitting in between Cuba and Jamaica here. And this will eventually propagate further to the west. And the thing of it is with the Cayman Islands is, here's the Cayman Islands right here. Look at this massive outer band on the eastern side of this tropical system. Very strong, damaging eastern band here of this potential tropical storm that'll be forming again. It was, as I said, a tropical storm before, but now it's a tropical depression. But according to this model, most likely will be a tropical storm again once it gets out past Jamaica and Cuba. And so here it is on Tuesday night into Wednesday evening, or Wednesday morning, I should say. And this thing really starts to get its act together. I mean, look at this. You can see the outer bands start to impact the Cayman Islands right here, probably at about Wednesday morning, which will most likely be the case for you all over there. Expect damaging winds in upwards of, I'd say, 50 miles per hour. That would be a high likelihood for people over there getting that activity. And then as this continues to move further and further towards the north and west, you can see this thing starts to intensify further and further. It starts to become a lot more like a buzzsaw in nature, which that's typically what you would want to see for an intensifying tropical system. This thing starts to get to a 983 millibar low pressure system. It actually goes north of the Yucatan Peninsula, north of Cozumel, the island here, north of Cancun. And so not really a whole lot of land interaction with this. And it is expected to continue to move on through into the Gulf of Mexico and intensify into a much stronger hurricane, according to this model. Now, even though this might not exactly be as strong as it is here, similar to this model run here, I do think that if it does go into the Gulf of Mexico, it will 100% become a hurricane. That I have no doubt. But according to this model thinks that this will become a major hurricane. And so if this model does come into fruition with the intensity of this tropical system here with Grace, wherever this hits, whether it's Mexico, whether it's Texas, whether this is Louisiana, it could create major impacts. And we have to continue to watch out for this. Next couple of days are going to be real key factors as to where this is going to head up, because we're watching a couple different things as to how this is going to progress as this moves on through. Salty Waffle, welcome to the live stream. Night Wolfie, welcome to the live stream as well. How are you all doing? Any storms near the UK? There might be a couple activity near the UK. Let's see if I can pull it up here on Pivotal Weather here. So there's the UK. I'm going to log in here, actually. There we go. All right, so for the next couple of hours here, we do have some scattered showers and thunderstorms that will be moving off into the southern portions of the United Kingdom. So in Britain, most likely we'll be getting some activity, maybe some lingering showers and thunderstorms near Scotland and Ireland, but not really too much heading off into the overnight hours. And then into the morning on Tuesday, not expected to have too much activity. You might have some scattered showers and thunderstorms over there as well, but it'll be a lower likelihood compared to what it was earlier. Morning hours of Wednesday into the afternoon hours of Wednesday, Ireland might see some showers and thunderstorms overnight. And heading off into Britain, the early morning hours for Thursday, even into the morning hours and the afternoon hours for Thursday, you guys could be getting some showers and thunderstorms there. The potential for some damaging wind gusts is possible with that. And then even on Friday into Saturday, Friday morning here into Friday afternoon, this is when you start to get your severe weather here. This is the time frame of which you guys could be getting some activity. So you guys really need to watch out for how this continues to move on through, even into the overnight hours. That's when it starts to get into the Britain vicinity, and really need to watch out for how intense those could be. Even into Saturday. Look at this, Saturday morning into the afternoon hours. Look at how strong some of these showers and thunderstorms could be just north of London. So really interesting as to how this will continue to unfold. Whether or not this is intense or not, we'll have to see, but a lot of activity there nevertheless. The reason why you are getting tropical storms is because you don't care about changing cars. Instead of having petrol and diesel use electricity, you don't think the U.S. care about carbon dioxide. The thing about it is with that is that we're also, in general, we're also getting into the phase of above average sea surface temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico. And so anywhere within the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico, you're going to get tropical systems because they are above average. Now, there are some areas in the world that do have below average temperatures within the ocean. So, it's just more or less specific areas of the world that sometimes do get it and sometimes don't. Here's the Florida Panhandle and the Florida Peninsula. We'll zoom out a little bit just to see here. You can see the general swirl of Fred here as this gets closer and closer towards Port St. Joe, Panama City, Apalachicola into the Carabel areas, even up to Crawford and even Tallahassee. You got a lot of activity here as this continues to get closer and closer. But areas like Pensacola, if we go over to the other radar here, we'll go to the Elgin Air Force Base radar. Areas here along I-10 from Chipley and Marina and westward, you guys could potentially be getting some activity here as this continues to move on through. So really something interesting to say the least. Can you check the Panhandle in Texas? Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about the northern Panhandle here of Texas. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning out there north of Pampa. So really interesting to say the least with this not tropical system, with this severe storm, because this is creating some severe characteristics with the potential of things to be tornadic too. It did even have a tornado warning at one point as well. So it's just a matter of how this thing continues to progress and how it evolves. As of right now, I don't anticipate this to be very tornadic. The wind shear in this environment is not exactly the best, but very interesting to say the least. What about Jamaica? Well, Jamaica is most likely going to get hit head on by a tropical depression or tropical storm here. So if we back up here, what I'm talking about is tropical storm or tropical depression Grace at the moment. And so as this continues to move through Hispaniola, specifically Haiti and the Dominican Republic, which, as I said, pray for Haiti as much as possible, this will continue to get closer and closer into the general vicinity of Cuba and Jamaica. Now, whether or not this thing splits the two and, it goes in between Cuba and Jamaica, that's a big question here within the next, day or so. But I feel very confident that Jamaica will most likely be impacted by some showers and thunderstorms within, I would say by Tuesday morning, and it will continue to progressively get worse until about, all the way up until Tuesday evening. I think it'll be at its worst at about Tuesday evening. And then as it continues to move further east, or further west, I should say, you guys might get another band here. You can see the secondary band all the way on the far eastern side, outside of the little box here that shows the radar. And then it'll start to kind of weaken, and you should not be dealing with this tropical system anymore by Wednesday morning. Let's see. We'll do this here for a second. Yep, no problem. No problem, Britannia, I believe that's how you pronounce it. I try to be good with names and stuff like that, but if I do butcher people's names, I apologize. It's just like trying to pronounce people's towns and stuff like that. I don't live there. I don't know them. So I apologize if I offend anyone. Oh, I know he's spamming my love in Arabic, but I just decided to kind of mute him a little bit here. So the good thing about what's happening now with Fred is that there isn't really as much activity here on a tornadic perspective ongoing right now. There is a couple rotations embedded within the line, but it's not really too much activity here. So that's the good news. So let's actually go to a half and half screen here. The top right, the top corner, we have Panama City, and let's see. I wonder if I can actually pull up that camera from St. George Island. If I can't, then that's unfortunate. But oh, there we go. We got the camera. Look at that. Okay, so can I do this? There we go. And boom. Let's actually go full screen here. Can I go full screen? I'm not sure I can. There we go. Look at that. This is at St. George Island, everyone. This is right next to Apalachicola. And look at the foam that's being generated from this tropical system. Look at that. Very intense damaging winds that are moving on through. Very intense. There's a town in the panhandle of Florida that's an absolute tongue twister, just warning me. Oh boy. Is it Weewa Hitchka? Is that what it is? Sheesh. But yeah, look at that imagery right there. Very strong damaging winds that are pushing the surf up higher and higher. You can see the storm surge that's actually getting closer and closer towards the bridge there. Getting very close towards the edge of the dune there, the edge of the sand dune. So we do have some strong damaging winds and some storm surge associated with this. And this actually will be making landfall right around this camera too. Now, it probably won't be making landfall for another, I'd say 30 minutes, maybe a half an hour, maybe an hour, but still something interesting here. Another thing that's really interesting is look at the trees here on your screen. You can see how they are blowing. They're not, it's not just one, straight image where nothing is happening. But we do have consistency here that there is some strong damaging winds associated with this storm. And we have had some damaging wind gusts in upwards of about 60 miles per hour, which is pretty consistent. So we have some very strong activity here, to say the least. Let's go to the general screen here again. You guys can see what all is happening across the board here. I'm going to refresh this page here real quickly. Open that up. And I'm going to go get a drink real quickly, so this will be a good time for me to take a 1-minute break. If you guys stay with me, I'll show you guys what's happening on the 3D analysis. Yes, we have 3D analysis. So if you guys want to see that, please be sure to stay tuned for the next minute. Alrighty, we are back. We are live. It is 2:47 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And we have Tropical Storm Fred still bearing along the coast here, heading off into the Florida Panhandle. Very interesting to say the least. 65-mile-per-hour storm with 994 millibars at its low pressure, or its lowest pressure, I should say. Looking at the satellite imagery here, let's go full screen real quickly to the satellite imagery. You can see you have a lot of showers and thunderstorms that are really starting to blow up on the southern side. It kind of fizzed out a little bit, but then you have a new initiation on the southern side right there. So that could create some more showers and thunderstorms that could sling around the center area of low pressure. Speaking of which, it is a little bit displaced here between the mid-level vortex and the lower-level vortex. So the mid-level vortex would probably be, if I can pause it right at the end, right, that's not pausing it. That's not pausing it. Hello? This thing is not pausing. I'm not having good control over my my satellite imagery, aren't I? There we go. All right, we got it. So the low-level vortex would be somewhere right about here. And then the mid-level vortex is actually right up here in Panama City. So this is very much so displaced by the strong shear that's in place. With the shear basically kind of tilting the vortex. If you could imagine like this cone right here going up into the atmosphere. Right about there is where the cone would be as it goes from the low-level part to the mid-level parts of the atmosphere. So really interesting to see from this. We do have some new showers and thunderstorms that are starting to form here, as I said, right over top of the low-level vortex that might try and help this thing continue to sustain 65-mile-per-hour winds as it continues to move off towards the north. If we take a look at the radar imagery here, we're actually going to take a look at radar Omega here first. And here we go. You can see it's a little bit glitched at the moment, so we're going to try and fix that. And here we go. Here's your radar analysis for the most part. These yellowish orangish polygons, these are all tropical storm warnings right within here. So I would really watch out if you are in any of these tropical storm warnings. Really should probably seek higher ground or seek a sturdy structure. You also have these bluish purplish polygons right within here. These are storm surge warnings, and these are warning for 3 to 5 feet of storm surge that could be possible within some of these areas. So we really have to watch out for all of that, especially since some of these barrier islands, I know there's a lot of people who might have housing out there or even might be going on vacation over there. 3 to 5 feet of storm surge could go over some dunes and flood roadways. So really something interesting that you guys have to pay attention to. There is also a tornado watch at the moment that's in effect for some of these areas as well. So the potential for some tornadic development is possible within some of these outer bands. There's an outer band that's going through Tallahassee at the moment, but that doesn't really have a whole lot of tornadic potential here either. So really something good with this as what we are seeing. But the cool thing about this is that we can also see this on 3D. Look at this, guys. We got 3D imagery of the radar here and how it basically juts it upwards. And so the higher amounts of reflectivity there is, the higher the actual colors go up into the sky. And so look at this. Look at this imagery right here. Look at that. That's pretty cool if I haven't seen something like this before, ever. And to think of it this way too, guys, is that this isn't even a hurricane. So the next time we have a live stream like this, we hope it isn't a hurricane, but if Grace ends up heading up towards Texas and this ends up heading off into that general vicinity, we'll have radars for this and we'll be able to do the exact same thing. So if Grace ends up turning into a major hurricane or a hurricane with an eye, imagine what it could look like with this 3D imagery. That is going to be pretty cool, and that's going to be something I'm pretty excited about in future live streams. So if you haven't already, and if you wanted to stay tuned to my channel with content like this, please be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. And if you are on Twitch, and you are watching this, please leave a follow so that we may be able to continue doing this, because we want to build our platform on Twitch as well. We're going to try and do as much as possible, you know, on as many platforms as possible. Try and get as much information out as possible as well. So, you know, trying to do all this for you all. If you're on YouTube and you haven't already, please be sure to follow me on Twitch. Because, fun fact, my live streams actually get out a lot quicker on Twitch too. So, if you guys want to hear my opinions or my reactions a lot quicker, go on to Twitch. But if you can't, you know, of course, YouTube's going to be my main platform to stream on, and I will always live stream on YouTube. You know, I have a plethora amount of subscribers that I have to attend to. I mean, just by looking at it right now, we have 12,937 subscribers. So we are a little above 60 subscribers away from 13,000 subscribers, guys. That's absolutely insane. And you know, I can't thank you guys enough for all the stuff that you guys have done for me. But we're going to try and get this out to as many people as possible. By liking the live stream too on YouTube, you guys are actually getting this information out to more people who could potentially need it. Because this is, you know, this is breaking news information for most people here in the United States. They may not be paying attention to all this tropical weather. You know, they may be ignorant, but if they look on YouTube, they see something like this, like making landfall, then boom, we'll be able to get information out to more and more people. So please be sure to share this with friends and family and on social media, and please be sure to like the live stream. Now, the other cool thing about this as well is that we also have satellite imagery on this program too. If we take a look at the satellite imagery, I'll try and pull up mesoscale number 2 and pull up the infrared satellite right there. You can see right here, boom, here's Fred. Look at that. There's Fred. Here's the outer bands on the eastern portion of the storm. You can see how this swirls in a counterclockwise motion. There's a little bit of a gap right here, and that's because there's some dry air that's seeping in that's limiting thunderstorm activity for the most part. So it's very much so one of those things to where it's got a lot of factors up against it that's preventing it from strengthening to a hurricane. It's still a 65 mile per hour tropical storm, according to the National Hurricane Center, and it most likely will stay as a tropical storm as it makes landfall here. So I don't think it'll become a hurricane, or at least I don't think it will be a hurricane anymore, but it still looks to be a very powerful tropical storm with storm surge in upwards of 3 to 5 feet. So very interesting to say the least. But the cool thing about the satellite imagery too here with this program is that we can also take a 3D sample of this as well. Look at this. We can see the clouds and how it spans up in the sky here as well. The cool thing about infrared satellite is that this looks at the tops of the thunderstorms, and it tries and looks at how cold those tops of thunderstorms actually are. So the colder the thunderstorm tops are, the higher in the atmosphere they are. Or the higher, I said are twice. Oh boy. So the higher the thunderstorms are in the atmosphere, the taller they end up actually coming out to be. And so we have that same exact sight here just by looking at this. Look at that. I'll play the loop here of the satellite 3D imagery, and look at this counterclockwise spin right within here. Look at that. Absolutely phenomenal right within there. Farmer Matt, what's up? Welcome to the stream. How have you been? So, I mean, just look at this. And once again, you know, in future live streams, imagine when a hurricane comes around and it has an eye and it can reach into these satellites that we have here. Imagine what it will look like then. That's, as I said, pretty exciting for the future. And we'll be able to get more and more information out that way. We'll be also able to see more and more characteristics and be able to determine as to what type of tropical system it is and how strong it is and where the worst parts could potentially be just based off of that. I'm doing great, Farmer Matt. Thank you for asking. I'm doing great. It's dark here, but it's not doing anything outside. And that's expected for most of the areas that are not near the center area of low pressure. Anywhere that's really outside, for the most part, really isn't going to get a tremendous amount of activity. But once you start to get closer and closer towards the center, that's when you can start seeing enhancement in tropical activity. And there's already been some damaging wind gusts. If we take a look back here at the radar, damaging wind gusts in upwards of 60 miles per hour is possible across some of these areas. So, it's not just one area where it's one and done. It's not even just, just the sustained winds. You could even get damaging wind gusts that could topple trees and power lines as well. Ash on Twitch, what's up? Welcome to the live stream. Nice to see you out here. You're in Crestview, which is right beside what's going on. Yeah, so you guys most likely will be not getting the main area of the tropical system here. Let's go to a radar that's a lot closer to you. There's Crestview. And you guys had some showers and thunderstorms earlier that was pushing on through, and that's actually heading off towards Pensacola now, especially the Milton areas. But in regards to the actual activity of the tropical system and whether or not that could impact you, the main areas most likely will be off towards your east. So from Mariana and further down south to Panama City, you guys will most likely get your activity. And even the Air Force Base most likely will get some outer bands from it as well. Texas Bunny, what's up? Hello, hello. Nice to see you in the stream. How are you? We have 329 followers on Twitch. Good job, guys. Let's go. That's perfect. We're continuing to climb up. As I said, we're trying to get as much information out as possible. So I appreciate you all. I appreciate you all helping me out. Can it reach Category 1? I do not think it will become a Category 1 by the time it makes landfall. At maximum, I think it could be a 70-mile-per-hour storm, but that's me being generous. I think for the most part, it will stay as a 65-mile-per-hour tropical storm, especially once it makes landfall. Can I give a small update on Grace? I sure can. So, the thing about it is with Grace is there's a lot of factors going into what all is happening. And you know what? I'll actually be nice, and I'll give you a full shebang as to what's happening with Grace here and what could potentially happen in the future. So we're going to take a look at the Vorticity here, 500 millibar Vorticity. If you want to see where the tropical system actually is, all these shaded yellows and reds. If you see kind of like that ballish nature, that's a tropical system, even a more consolidated tropical system that's starting to form. So there's Fred. You can see that, Fred's obviously a tropical storm, so it's going to have that deep red right within the center of it. And here's Grace that's trying to survive the islands, or the big island of Hispaniola. And so the thing about it is here is that we have Fred, Grace, Tropical Depression 8 over here, which will most likely be Tropical Storm Henri here soon. And then we also have this ridge right here that's set up. So here's a high pressure, and then we got this big old ridge that's creating clockwise wind shear right here. Okay? So there's the ridge right within there. And I want you guys to pay attention here for the most part. So Grace will most likely continue to move off to the north and west in its current trajectory. But this ridge ends up elongating further and further. And this is why Fred continues to move off towards the north, even as it gets over land. It's because that wind shear is really guiding it kind of more north into places of the Appalachians, heading off towards the Great Lakes. So really interesting to say for the most part with that system. Meanwhile, with Tropical Storm Grace, that will most likely occur as a tropical storm again. you have that ridge that's creating some very strong wind shear here, this easterly wind shear that's kind of pushing the system. So Grace wants to move northwest because you have this other wind shear behind it that's pushing it off to the northwest. But then you also have this wind shear here from this ridge that's pushing from the north and east here as well. So it's kind of pushing it to the south and west. And that's going to basically still propagate it westward, but it's going to keep it, it's going to be a kind of repelling nature to where it kind of cancels out. So if you have north wind and south wind, it's not going to go anywhere. But if you have wind that still continues to push it off to the west, it'll kind of just follow along that line as it continues to move on through. So the big thing here is, well, how strong is this wind shear going to be from this ridge? And, well, according to this model here, the GFS, as it continues to move on through, the wind shear will be enough to really repel it from continuing to move off to the north. But the big thing here is that if this wind shear can weaken some, we could potentially be talking about how this tropical system could move even further north, whether it moves off into Texas or Louisiana. That's the big key, that's the big question here within the next couple of days. So we really have to watch out for by the time it gets to Wednesday evening when we have our tropical update at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I'm expecting most of you to come out to that tropical update there. At 8 p.m., we will have our answer as to where this tropical system will most likely head off to. But until this thing moves off past Jamaica, past the Cayman Islands, past Cuba, we won't really have a defined answer as to where this is heading off to. But according to most models, it seems as if this will most likely become a hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. Most likely will become a hurricane, which I agree. I think this will become a hurricane 100%. As soon as it gets into the Gulf of Mexico, hurricane right there. Could even be a major if it really rapidly intensifies. But where this thing goes, that's the big question. Look at that. We begin some followers on Twitter too. Very nice, very nice. If you haven't followed me on Twitter already, by the way, please be sure to do so. Link is in the chat as well. Have you also seen Hurricane Linda in the Eastern Pacific? I have. And the thing about Hurricane Linda out in the Pacific is that it's kind of, sure, it's out in the middle of nowhere, but it's still trying to live on, say, its last leg. It's really trying to survive more and more. But it's just, it hasn't been able to do so, so. That's the one thing with that. Aircraft reconnaissance is most likely not going to head out into the storm again. Most likely not. So, what we're going to be relying on most off for radar analysis for winds and as to what's happening at the surface is if this, well, is most likely going to be radar. Most likely going to be radar. Let's take a look at our let's take a look at our quad image here again. I'm going to pull up my satellite imagery here. We'll go back to the quad image, and you can see top left-hand corner, if I can zoom that in, there you go. That's Panama City, Florida. Top right-hand corner is not Carabel, Florida. That's actually St. George Island, Florida. So there's St. George Island, Florida. Bottom right-hand side is the satellite imagery, and the bottom left-hand side is our radar. And so there's a lot of activity here for the most part that we can talk about. But we can even just chill out a little bit. Has a hurricane ever hit Alaska? I actually have no clue. I honestly have no clue. Definitely could have. But I wouldn't know. As I said, I appreciate everyone who's came out to the live stream here today. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications because we do analysis on all sorts of tropical systems here, including severe weather and winter weather. So when stuff gets into the winter, don't think that I just hide into a hidey hole. Although, you know, I will be having a side job there. I do work at a ski resort. Because sometimes I do that. Working at a ski resort is fun too because I get unlimited instances of me skiing and snowboarding. So I do both. I do both. But I will be covering weather all the way throughout. So this tropical season, feel free to come to me for any sort of information. Because I will be able to get you most of it. I got latest information. I got Hurricane Hunter data. I got satellite analysis. I got all sorts of stuff here for you all. So feel free to come out. Feel free to say hi. Feel free to tune into my videos. Which one do I work at? Whitetail in southern Pennsylvania. So if you see me, say hi. They have had storms that have 75-mile-per-hour winds, but more of cyclonic storms. Well, I mean, of course Florida has. Historically. But every time, there's always some sort of impact with this system, too. So, really interesting to watch out for as this continues to progress. Has it officially made landfall yet? No, it actually has not. If I real quickly go over just satellite imagery for you all, and then we'll go back to the live cameras that we have. Look at this right here. We have the actual lower level circulation right about here. And so it's a little bit off of the coast, and radar does agree with me as well in saying that too. Go back to radar. Look at that. There's the low level circulation clearly as this circles round and round. So the interesting thing here is that, of course, when it makes landfall, you know, that's going to be basically the beginning of the end for it because it'll be over land. It'll start to deplete further and further. But then the other thing here is the storm surge for the Big Bend of Florida. All right, you have a lot of these bands that are swirling in onto the coast, and that's creating a lot of damaging winds that are pushing a lot of the surge inland. So very interesting to see as to what the impacts will be over there. We do have cameras in that general vicinity, so we will have your information for you, but interesting thing for you all. Are there going to be storms in Pennsylvania today? I didn't see any, according to the Storm Prediction Center. I could always be wrong. I could always be wrong. There is a chance for some scattered thunderstorms, but nothing severe. So, I mean, there is definitely the chance. It's very overcasty here in Pennsylvania at the moment. Very overcasty. Can I look at Pampa, Texas real quickly? Yes, I can. Here's Pampa, Texas. And it does have a very strong thunderstorm that's knocking on its door take a look at the maximum expected hail size, because there is a severe thunderstorm warning for that area for 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-sized hail. But the thing here is that the maximum expected hail size is above quarter size, according to GR2 analyst. It actually thinks that the hail size could be in upwards of 1.5 inches. So that would be about ping pong ball sized hail. So that's really interesting to see from the radar here. We also have a damaging wind gust of 58 miles per hour here, just north of Pampa as well. So we do have some a recorded severe wind gust, because that actually does meet severe parameters. It would be 58 mile per hour winds or above, so it just barely met severe parameters within that spot. That's not saying that other areas within the same vicinity could be seeing higher wind speeds. So it's really just something to watch out for. Who remembers Fred the YouTuber? I sure do. Do I think Fred could turn into a very brief hurricane, with the area having a history of having a brown ocean effect? I would highly doubt it, honestly, because it's very... there's a lot of factors that are playing into Fred right now, and which is the reason why it hasn't intensified any further within the past couple of hours. And I'll talk about that here in a second. Anything tornadic within the storm near Pampa? If it was tornadic, it would be near Kings Mill. If it was tornadic, it'd be near Kings Mill, right within here. But, actually, there would be one area near Kings Mill and another area near White Deer as well. But I think the Pampa area, I think you guys will be seeing more of a damaging wind threat more than anything. So, let's talk about... let's go ahead and talk about the reasons as to why Fred most likely will not intensify into a hurricane here. So let's pull up water vapor imagery. Water vapor imagery is probably going to be the best way to describe all this. And I'll let it load there for a second. So let's take a look at some other stuff. Look at that. So stats is over. He's already seeing storm surge near Port St. Joe. And that's exactly what we're talking about there. Look at that. Feel free to follow stats too on any sort of stuff that he has. All the stuff is on the left-hand side, bottom left-hand side as well. But look at all of that. Look at all the damaging winds and storm surge that he's encountering there. Do I have access to the warning signals through radio? Only areas in my localized area. If I were to look for the stuff over there, I would have to go on the internet and probably find it. All right, so the satellite imagery should finally be done here. Did they do a tropical cyclone update? Fred makes landfall in eastern Florida, so there you go. Imagine if I had IEM bot up. So let's actually pull that up here real quickly, because then that would make the point even better, wouldn't it? There it is. Fred makes landfall in the eastern Florida panhandle, right there. 994 millibar low pressure system, 65 mile per hour winds. And so the main reason as to why this thing has not intensified as people would have thought it would have is because if we take a look at the water vapor imagery and play the loop here, we have some very strong shear here coming from this ridge. So we have this high pressure system, which is about right here. We got this ridge, and it's creating some very strong shear that is moving in a clockwise motion. And so what this has done is it's basically tilted the vortex on an axis, and it has limited it from intensifying rapidly. And so as of this moment, if the United States was not, there, it would continue to slowly and gradually strengthen. But of course, because it's interacting with a lot of land at the moment, its window of opportunity for strengthening has came to a close. So you have a lot of wind shear with that. And then the other thing too is that we also have a little bit of dry air here. You can see there's a little bit of darker grays right on the southwestern side of the tropical system. And the reason why there isn't a whole lot of showers and thunderstorms, if we go back over to the radar, the reason why there isn't a whole lot of showers and thunderstorms right within this area right here is because there's a lot of dry air in it. It's preventing thunderstorms from forming right within that general vicinity. So if it didn't have those, if it didn't have all those characteristics out and around that general vicinity in Fred, then it could have potentially went to a hurricane status. But because it had the wind shear, because it had the dry air, it ended up not becoming a Category 1 hurricane. Open up a can of lemonade here. SBC says supercells are possible to likely tomorrow in the Carolinas due to Tropical Storm Fred. I'd have to agree. And let's take a look at that real quickly. Let's see the Storm Prediction Center's Day 2 outlook, which does have a 5% chance for tornadoes here in the Carolinas. So upstate North Carolina, heading off into the Charlotte vicinity. Someone asked me a couple days ago if Charlotte was going to get showers and thunderstorms, and I did say that they most likely will. Here it is already. Look at that. We have a 1 out of 5 on the severe weather scale here indicated in this dark green. And then in this yellow, we have a 2 out of 5 on the severe weather scale. So the potential for something is likely, very likely. So all the more reason for people to watch out for that. And then I'm assuming once it gets towards, once it gets to Wednesday, I believe there will most likely be a severe weather risk here for the northern mid-Atlantic and to the northeast, specifically around Pennsylvania and West Virginia, as well as portions of Maryland and New York. I think there will most likely be some severe weather over there from Tropical Storm Fred, so. Of course, as I said, we'll have to see, but I do believe that it will most likely be the case. If you guys are enjoying the content and you're new to my channel, please be sure to subscribe, all right? Because, you know, we are a ever-growing community that's trying to get as much information as possible on most of these weather events. And so I would really appreciate it. I would really appreciate it if you guys would join the community and even help me share all this information with other people. And by doing so, you can either, you know, share the live stream or share the videos that I upload with friends and family and on social media, or you can even like the video or live stream. And what that does is that gets it out to more people's recommended feeds so that they may be able to get this useful information as well. I hope this information is useful. But, you know, it's just all about trying to spread the word as much as possible. And if you're on Twitch, please be sure to follow me, because that would be greatly appreciated. I will be live streaming on both YouTube and Twitch at the same time. On Twitch, I'll be getting, you know, my thoughts and opinions out a lot quicker because YouTube has a little bit of a stream delay. But I will be trying to get as much information out to you all as possible. And if you're on YouTube and you haven't already, please be sure to follow my Twitch. Twitch is right there in the chat. When is the next update for Grace? In an hour and a half at 5 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. So 4 o'clock Central Daylight Time. Remember when Nate intercepted the Tupelo tornado on the traffic camera? I also intercepted the, or at least caught on video, the Jackson, Mississippi tornado earlier that day as well. Am I streaming on Twitch right now? Yes, I am. I'm streaming to 6 people. We're trying to get as many followers as possible with that, so we can just try and, you know, spread the news. We have 329 followers over there on Twitch as well. Is Twitch free? Yes, Twitch is free. You can also watch other content creators that play video games on there. But there's a couple other people who have chatting stuff on there as well. And so, yeah. When did I start my Twitch and am I affiliated yet? I am affiliated. I'm not partnered, I'm affiliated, yes. And I started my Twitch a while back. I actually used to be a professional Fortnite player. And I won a couple tournaments with money in them as well. So, and that's how I originally started my Twitch. But now I'm starting to build it up from a weather perspective as well. Try to make a name for myself in that. Because, you know, I'm already live streaming on YouTube. And if I have the opportunity to live stream on both platforms, why not make the most of it? You know what I mean? So, it's going to be an intense day for Spartanburg, South Carolina tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the possibility. A lot of localized wind gusts within your area, so I'd really watch out for that as much as possible. Fortnite. Yeah, everyone doesn't like Fortnite now because, you know, it's kind of been run into the ground, but... Lava Command, what's up on Twitch? How do? Could Grace be Katrina-esque if it takes a north turn once it hits the Gulf? Well, the thing about it is that it could definitely have the opportunity to intensify into a strong hurricane. And most likely it will be a hurricane if it gets there. All right, I actually think that is a high likelihood if it can get there, which a lot of the models think it will. So if we go over to Grace here real quickly from the HWRF model, you can see how this propagates further northwestward past Jamaica, past Cuba, past the Cayman Islands, and eventually goes over north of the Yucatan Peninsula. And by this point here, which would be on Thursday morning and Wednesday evening, Thursday morning, it's already borderline high-end tropical storm, low-end Category 1 hurricane. So, you know, that's according to this model at least. So whether or not this can intensify into a strong hurricane, you know, that would be the intensity guidance of Katrina there. But in regards to where it will most likely make landfall, it's most likely not going to go in anywhere near, say, Alabama or Mississippi, or even the panhandle of Florida. It will most likely stay on the western side of the Gulf of Mexico, whether it's on Mexico itself, in Texas, or in Louisiana. That's the higher likelihood as to where this will most likely make landfall from Grace. So, in regards to whether or not it could turn north, there's a lot of wind shear that's preventing it from moving north, but we'll have to see as it continues to move about. Tanner, what's up? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Diana, welcome to the live stream. Nice to see you around here. How are you doing? Small Fry, what's up on Twitch? Hello, hello. You stream on Twitch part-time, you're affiliated? Oh, nice, nice. Good stuff. I just hit my microphone with my hat. Oh boy. Ethan, what's up? Welcome to the stream. How are you? So the interesting thing about the HWRF model is that watch how this continues to progress further westward. Look at this. It intensifies further. And then look, here's the border of Texas and Mexico right there. Look at that. Texas and Mexico, there's the border. And this right here is the tropical system. It shows you how far away it actually is from the US according to this model. The different models here in the weather community, it's kind of like having different opinions. And so with each different model, it has a different idea as to where this tropical system is going. It just so happens that this one takes it just south of Texas. So really interesting to say the least with that. Thunder Yeet, what's up? Welcome to the stream on Twitch. Hello, hello. Any traffic cameras? We do have a couple traffic cameras, actually. Let's pull that up here real quickly. We'll go to the satellite imagery here, and then we'll go to the live camera feed, and then we'll go to the 4-panel screen here for you all. On the top left-hand side is Panama City, Florida. On the top right-hand side is St. George Island, where the storm is currently making landfall. It's actually already made landfall, per se, but it's actually right around the area into which the storm is making landfall. Bottom left-hand side is the radar imagery, and then the bottom left-hand side is radar imagery. Bottom right-hand is the satellite imagery. So, a lot of activity there on your screen. Kevin, what's up? Welcome to the stream. How are you? April, welcome to the channel. We do live analysis of tropical systems when they make landfall, unless if they are pretty weak, then they're not really as detrimental to people on land. But if there ever is a hurricane that's making landfall within the United States, we will be live streaming it. We also do tropical updates at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And every now and then, well, for the most part, we'll be uploading a YouTube video probably every single day from now onwards. So if you feel like weather content is the thing for you, whether it's tropical weather, severe weather like tornadoes and lightning and hail and stuff like that, or whether it's snow and ice, if you think all that stuff is for you, feel free to stick around, subscribe, turn on notifications. It would help me out, at least. Speaking of subscribers, I'm curious as to how many we have. I haven't checked in a while. We have 12,952 subscribers. We are 48 subscribers away from 13,000 subscribers, guys. Yeah, it's been a little bit. It's been a little bit, taking its time getting up here to this point. But I appreciate you all. I appreciate everyone who's helped supported the stream. I really do. Just by coming out to the stream, you really have helped me out a lot. Meteorology is way out of my league. I make stupid videos and troll. That sounds like stuff that I would do when I was playing Fortnite way back when. Actually, some of my old videos on this channel when I was a kid, well, I mean, I'm still obviously a kid. I'm 19. I mean, I'm not a kid. I'm an adult. I'm in college. But, you know, when I was a youngin', about 11 or 12, I actually uploaded some videos, whether it was Minecraft or Halo. I was facing my best friend. We were playing Halo together and just messing around, trolling each other. I'm really impressed by the camera there on the top right-hand corner at St. George Island. I mean, it just looks absolutely gnarly there. You can see how intense the waves are and the foam across the board. Because what's basically happening is you have a lot of that wind that is basically pushing in behind most of these waves. And so as it gets pushed up more and more and more off further towards the coast, it actually pushes that water up. And that's how storm surge actually works for the most part. So localized flooding can be an issue in some spots. Where did I get the traffic cam views from? There's a couple websites that have beach cams and stuff like that. So if you just look up Florida beach cameras, you'll be able to see all sorts of different camera views. This one right here, let me exit here for the most part. So for St. George, this is the FloridasForgottenCoast.com. things to see or see do /webcams, and then you can see all sorts of different stuff from there. And then the other one at the top part of your screen, that's Panama City, Florida. You might be able to find it at another website there, because there's a lot of cameras over at Panama City. One thing that I want to mention here is look at the camera at St. George's Island. It is, the visibility, you know, even though the rain's starting to smack into the camera, the visibility is really starting to deplete here. And look at this. You can see my face here for once. But look at this. Look at the camera. That is pretty crazy, if I do say so myself. Decided to stop by from YouTube. I appreciate that. If I can get more Twitch viewers, then that would be great, because we are trying to build our platform on both sides. Right in the middle of this thing, appreciate you keeping us updated. Yeah, no problem. I'll continue to live stream until a little bit later on this evening. I will have to be gone by 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, but that's a lot of time between now and then, so I'll be here for quite a bit. And the video error, oh boy, did the camera just die? If the camera just died, then that's unfortunate. I'm hoping it didn't. Gotta say, the stream has been more reliable at following real-time impacts of the storm. You're in a tropical storm warning area, and this stream is invaluable. I appreciate that. I really do. I try to do as much as possible for anyone who really gets impacted by these tropical systems, or even just any sort of weather system. So I really do appreciate the kind words. Let's go back to the satellite imagery here for a bit. Per ATCF, Tropical Depression 8L is now Henri. Oh boy. So there's another named storm. Jeez. Follow me on Twitch, your EE. Oh, nice, nice. Yep. As I said, Twitch is, I'm trying to expand my platform as much as possible, so I'll have more of a following base on both platforms. So I appreciate all the people who came out to Twitch. And it's kind of funny how there's a bot that just said, hey, you want to buy followers? Where will the remnants of Fred go? Most likely into the Great Lakes vicinity. So let's go over to the HWRF model. Let's take a look at Fred here. By the way, the link for Twitch is in the chat if you want to go, if you have a Twitch channel. Gotta wear glasses at 19. Wow, had to get them at 46. Seems legit. It's just farsightedness for the most part. So, I mean, if I wear glasses, it's just kind of for style a bit. So, by taking a look at what's happening after Fred makes landfall, you can see how this continues to move up north through the western portions of the Appalachians into northern Georgia and Tennessee. This is by Tuesday evening into Wednesday morning. Then, as this moves on through into Wednesday afternoon and evening, you can see the center area of low pressure is here in Ohio, but the actual rain bands here extend much further east, so there could be a potential severe weather threat for portions of West Virginia, Maryland, Virginia, and Pennsylvania, as well as New York that Wednesday evening. So really got to watch out for the potential for some severe weather as that continues to move on through. So please watch out for that. Let us see. How strong could the winds be in Hickory, North Carolina? Let's see if I can find that. Because as I said, I don't live in these areas. I live in South Central Pennsylvania. So if I haven't heard of your place, or if I mispronounce it, I'm not trying to offend people. I'm just, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so Hickory could potentially be seeing some interesting winds over there for the most part. I think for you all, you guys could most likely see some damaging winds in upwards of 20 to 25 miles per hour, maybe wind gusts up to 30 as well. But it'll be a tropical depression by the time it gets up there, so it won't be significant by any stretch of the imagination. The name of the website is Big Follows, not even small follows, just Big Follows. It's pretty clear here in Crestview. Boss already gave me the night off, so I'll just chill. Thanks for keeping us updated, Nate. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, Crestview, as I said, you guys are most likely going to be out of the risk for the most part. I mean, you can see how wide this tropical system expands, but it doesn't expand that wide. Right here is Crestview. And you can see the edge of the actual main batch of the tropical system. So that's an interesting thing there. One other thing that I do want to mention is everyone sees this green polygon right here, correct? This green polygon is a flash flood warning. So this is the beginning of the heavier amounts of rain. Heavier amounts of rain that's starting to congeal and cause flooding across the board in some of these areas. And so let's read a little bit on what this actual warning text says. And for people who can't read because the text is very small, I'll just try and keep it, I'll just try and speak it out for you for the most part. Flash flood warning for Bay County, Calhoun County, Gulf County, and Washington County in the Panhandle of Florida. That'll be in effect until 8:15 p.m. Central Daylight Time, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. According to Doppler radar, heavy rain has been indicated across much of the Warren area. Between 1 to 2 inches of rain has already fallen, and an additional 1 to 4 inches of rainfall is possible within the area. So flash flood warning is ongoing or expected to begin shortly. So people really need to watch out for. If I call out your city, that's where you guys are in. That's where the flash flood warning is currently in effect for. So Panama City, Lynn Haven, Panama City Beach, Callaway, Springfield, Mexico Beach, Hilland Park, Tyndall Air Force Base, Weehawken, Parker, Wausau, Majet, Bayou, it's either Bayou George or Bayou George, Cairo, College Station, Camp Flowers, Bayhead, Nixon, Brannonville, and Ricotta Beach. If you guys live in those areas, you guys need to seek higher ground and seek a sturdy structure. HWRF wants Grace to be a Cat 5 in its latest run. Oh, yeah. Its rapid intensification is quite expansive, isn't it? The thing of it is that I do agree with Grace is that it will become a hurricane. I do believe Grace will become a hurricane. At some point in its lifespan here, from now until it makes landfall, not if it hits the Yucatan Peninsula, not this landfall, but the afterwards, between then and the end of the week, it will most likely become a hurricane. Just subbed on here too. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, as I said, I appreciate all the people who are coming over to watch on Twitch. I think people on Twitch realize that the live stream actually is distributed out a lot quicker than it is on YouTube because there is a stream delay on YouTube. But why not live stream on both platforms, Try and get as high as possible on both as possible. And, we're going to try and get as much information out as possible. Even though I just said possible for 4 times. So I'm going to stop saying that word. Or at least I'm going to try to. From Louisiana, we get offended when you don't season your food. Seems legit. Slicing? I mean, We could try and take a look at the slicing there with this cell. There's a sounding for the most part. It's pretty interesting. Do you guys know how to take slices on tropical tidbits? I know I know how to do it on a GR2 analyst, of course. What in the world is the H-Wharf model on? It's on the good stuff. It's definitely doing a lot more than you typically would think it would. Especially for a model like that. Potential category 5 according to this model. Seth, what's up? Welcome to the live stream. Storm still appears to be a tropical warm core low, but the time it gets to Ohio with nearly 35-mile-per-hour winds, and I actually agree with that for the most part. The wind shear will most likely push it relatively quickly off to the north. Seems how it's already moving off in that general direction. Wouldn't be an issue of longevity. It'd just be an issue of strength. Now, the interesting thing about this, too, and still on the topic of grace, if we take a look at the previous run here, the 06Z, the early morning run here from earlier today, and you can see how this thing said the same exact thing, for the most part, went through the Cayman Islands, started to intensify further and further, but then this thing actually made landfall here, north of Cozumel, near Cancun in the Yucatan Peninsula. And so, you know, that's another option here too. And that just goes to show that opinions do change within these models. So it's not always set in stone every single time. But, you know, as this continues to progress further and further, even after it goes through the Yucatan Peninsula, it begins to intensify a lot more rapidly in that case. And then as it got closer towards the coast, of course, it formed as a category 4 hurricane with that. So, you know, there's just a lot here to really watch out for as this continues to progress. But the big thing here is what will happen over the next day or two, and after that, where will it go? So I believe firmly that we will have our answer sometime either tomorrow night or Wednesday morning, which I will most likely be uploading a video not only tomorrow morning, probably the tomorrow morning afternoon, late tomorrow morning hours, but I will also do that on Wednesday as well. And then our next tropical update, as I said, we typically do tropical updates at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time every night. Won't be able to do it tonight or tomorrow night because I have to go on a Zoom call with a couple other people. We're going to be talking about a few things. But then afterwards, starting from Wednesday and onwards, we will be having a tropical update every evening. So if you're into that, engaging, learning about new information and stuff like that, feel free to hang on tight to this channel. If you're on Twitch, give me a follow. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Even turn on notifications if you can, because you do not want to miss what's happening here. We are at the peak of hurricane season. Let's go back to the radar here. Let's go to Tallahassee. And a lot of these wind barbs are saying a lot of stuff here. There's this wind barb that's just off the coast of St. George Island. And it's getting winds, sustained winds of 52 miles per hour. And it's somewhat off of the center of low pressure. Here's the eye of the tropical system. And here is the buoy right here that's telling us our 52 mile per hour sustained winds. We're also getting some reports here. Some reports from a mesonet of a wind gust of 73 miles per hour. That is 1 mile per hour away from hurricane force winds, everybody. Of course, it's not officially a hurricane because it has to be 74 to 75 mile per hour sustained winds. So a wind gust is substantially stronger than a sustained wind, but it happens within a smaller time period. So we almost had a hurricane-forced wind gust here along the coast of the panhandle of Florida. That right there is pretty insane. Is there still a chance for heavy rain for your location in Andalusia, Alabama? I'd have to see where that is. So if you would give me a couple seconds, I'll be able to give you an answer. So Andalusia, Alabama is it's very far off the mark here. I think you guys will be getting some scattered showers and thunderstorms within your general vicinity, but I do not think that you guys will be getting a lot of heavy rain over there. I think you guys will be, for the most part, in the clear. Go up above Crestview? Yeah, let's take a look and see what's happening near Crestview. Yeah, there you go. So there's Crestview, and then there's Andalusia right there. And we got just a bunch of scattered showers and thunderstorms, but nothing pretty heavy. Not a lot of heavy rain there, so that's the good news with all of that. What's my Twitter? My Twitter, if I can pull it up here real quickly. Here we go. Go to my profile. And I will put my Twitter in the chat if you guys want to follow me over there. Highly recommend doing so because I do post updates over there as well. So there you go. Link is in the chat right there. So I've been trying to get St. George Island webcam up online, but it's just not doing so at the moment. It's having a very tough time doing so. Yeah, there's the landfall there. Near hurricane force wind gusts, yeah, just reported. So sheesh. At 19, you know your stuff. Did you learn this in school, self-taught, or D, all the above? Actually, a bit of both. So I went to a couple of weather camps over at Penn State. They had a weather camp and then an advanced weather camp. And, you know, I hate to brag sometimes, but I gotta take a little bit of pride in this one. I was third out of, 30 people in forecasting over there. So that was pretty nice. But, yeah, I learned a bit from over there. And then, of course, I'm a bit self-taught. I try to look at YouTube videos. I feel like visually, visuals for the most part help people learn the best. At least it helps me the best in regards to learning. So that is basically how I've gathered most of my knowledge. I'm going to admit right here, I am not perfect. No one's ever perfect, but I am all the more not perfect. I'm still, young in this field of science, but I'm still learning a lot of stuff. And I'm hoping that I can take you guys with me on my nice little journey of trying to forecast, predict, and protect people from the weather. And I know protect people sounds a bit, strong, but some of the stuff can be pretty impactful, man. I mean, look at Haiti. Haiti had a giant earthquake, lost most of its infrastructure. Now it's getting potentially up to a foot, maybe even higher than a foot of rain within that area. And that's going to create a lot of flash flooding for an area that really does not have a lot of high infrastructure. Seems how most of it got demolished. HWRF wants a hurricane out of 8. the reason why I think 8 will most likely not be a hurricane is because of that ridge. That ridge is just too strong. Too strong. Let's see if I can get a better region here for you all. There you go, Southeast US. That's not it, actually. I think the best thing in this instance is for us to just use probably this. Let's get a petition to get Nate verified on YouTube. I'd have to get over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which if I can get over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, that would be all the more of an accomplishment. I mean, I'm not sure about you guys, but having a silver play button, silver plaque for YouTube. I mean, I'm not even doing this for a lot of the money. I love doing this stuff. And so having a following that, you know, loves weather as much as I do, or at least loves watching this stuff, you know, that's great. A lot of stuff in my home was destroyed in Hurricane Hannah. It was 115 miles off the coast. Sheesh. And that was Hurricane Hannah? Yeah, look at that. Wow. Speaking of encountering conditions, all right. There are going to be some instances where I do storm chase these tropical systems. Now, it is if they head up the East Coast, and if they are a hurricane, I'm probably, you know, as much as I would love to chase it, I'm probably not going to chase it this year. I would probably need a good following first in order for me to start storm chasing. And so I might be able to do it next year. If it's a tropical storm, of course I'll be able to chase it, most likely. But if it's a hurricane, man, or if it's even a borderline hurricane, I'll have to stay home and I'll have to cover it because that, in my honest opinion, I feel like attracts a lot more attention than when you get impacted as of right now. Now, of course, if I was a bit larger and I had a lot more of a following, then of course people probably would be more interested because then they'll figure out, hey, this person's in it. Compared to, you know, if I didn't have as many people watching, then the stream probably wouldn't get out as much. But just wanted to let you know all of that right there. So I don't think they're going to be putting any more reconnaissance. As I said, no more aircraft heading into Fred. I think they're probably going to be start heading out into Grace here soon. The one thing that I will say about this is that there actually is some data from the aircraft reconnaissance, depending upon what plane it is. You can actually see radar data from the plane. And tomorrow, they're actually going to be sending out a couple of those planes that actually get that data from the tail. So hopefully I'll be able to get you guys some of that information tomorrow. If they don't send it out in time, then of course, you know, I have to show you all probably later on, maybe the next day. But yeah. Are they never going to go into 8? I mean, they could, but that's just... It's very unlikely that this thing ends up going towards the coast, and I didn't actually explain as to why this goes into the coast. I just realized that, but let's go over to the 750 Vorticity here. And as I said, this oranges and reds, that's the signs of a consolidated tropical system. That's when the Vorticity is higher than it typically is. And so you have Tropical Depression 8 right there. You have Tropical Storm Fred. You have Tropical Depression Grace right here. And 8 most likely, you know, the next name will be Henri. So this will most likely become Tropical Storm Henri here within the next, you know, 18 hours, maybe even 24 hours. But you also have another thing that's going to be kind of playing into Tropical Depression 8 here. And that's this high pressure system, this ridge that's building, creating a lot of wind shear around it in this this clockwise formation right here. So as the systems continue to progress, you can see Fred actually gets caught up in that wind shear, and it starts to shoot up to the north. That's the reason why Fred continues to move north as it has been. But then you also see Tropical Depression 8. It also gets caught up in some of this wind shear, albeit not as strong at the moment, but it still gets some wind shear here, so that it will have an opportunity to continue to intensify further. Now, what it does within the time period of its intensification, that's, that'll have to depend within the next couple of days. But then afterwards, over the next couple of days after that, wind shear begins to intensify quite rapidly. And it starts to get into the point where you actually have some very unfavorable wind shear here over the top of Tropical Depression 8 or Tropical Storm Henri, if it does end up forming. And it kind of just dissipates it. Notice how most of the areas here, it's not as consolidated as a red dot anymore. Now it's just a bit of a blob of yellow compared to what is over here with what Grace is forecasted to do. So that's just my 2 cents as to why I think that will most likely not intensify into a hurricane. You're in Mexico Beach, getting hammered, 70-mile-per-hour winds, bad flooding. Oh yeah, and you guys are in a flash flood warning too. So I would really watch out for that. Seek higher ground if possible, because that is some very reoccurring flooding and even storm surge in some spots. Although storm surge is not exactly that big of an issue for you all right now. We do have wind gust reports now, or wind reports of 51 miles per hour in the actual town or city of Apalachicola. So 51 mile per hour wind gust report, or sustained wind report, I should say, from a buoy there. A gust of 61 miles per hour. There's also been, gusts across the board in upwards of 73 miles per hour. That's a wind gust that's 1 mile per hour short of hurricane force winds. There's been a lot of activity here for the most part. And so, really need to watch out for this as to how this continues to get closer and closer. I am going to... Let's take a 3D of this. Let's take a 3D of this system. Did we see any tornado warnings from the storm? Not yet. Not yet. Here's the 3D of the storm. Look at this. Look at how the cloud base is forming. Notice how it's mainly open here on the right-hand side of the storm. This is on the eastern side of the center area of low pressure. And that's because there's a lot of dry air that's seeping into this general vicinity. Dry air typically limits thunderstorm activity for the most part. And so compared to what a typical tropical system would look, to where it's completely circular, this one isn't. It has a bit more of a comma shape to it. And that's the reason why it's not expected to intensify significantly. But pretty interesting, to say the least. Yeah, I had a voice crack there. Had a voice crack. That wasn't fun. Let's go over to the radar here for the system. And by looking at the system here real quickly, you guys can see where it actually is for the most part. I mean, look at this. The actual center area of low pressure is starting to move over land, main parts of land for the most part. Let's see if I can actually turn down the amount of frames here. Tigers fan, what's up? Welcome back to the live stream. Can we talk about the day 2 and its potential? Yeah, after this bit here in a second. After this bit here. Family says, if they don't pick fun, they don't really love you. And I would have to agree with that. As long as it's not like nagging picking, you know what I mean? Because nagging picking can get, hurtful sometimes. But there is no nagging picking in this stream. We don't have that. It's always, it's always fun. It's always fun. But anyways, yeah, you can see the center area of low pressure here. You can see all of these yellow boxes here for the most part. These are tropical storm warnings. You can see how these tropical storm warnings actually extend much further up north to places like Dothan and a little bit further towards the west of Albany, south of Columbus, Georgia. And so, really interesting to see from that. We also have a tornado watch that has been issued in some of these areas, and then these blue boxes right within here. This actually indicates a, excuse me, sheesh. Let me turn that down, and then we go back there. There we go. Those blue boxes indicate a storm surge warning for some of those areas. So if you guys live within those areas, you need to seek higher ground 100%, because localized flooding is no joke. It really is no joke. Now, the interesting thing here about this product that we got right here is that we can actually take a 3D of all this rain and flip it on its side, and here we go. Look at that. Look at how cool that looks. Can you imagine if we had an actual hurricane with an eye? Like an actual eye with rain that surrounds it completely? Full eye wall, strong hurricane. We had it with this radar. I mean, of course, we never want it to happen, because that would mean that it would have to have a strong hurricane to make landfall in the United States. But it would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? I enjoy this. I think this is aesthetically pleasing, honestly. Let's move this a little bit this way. I think it looks pretty cool. But it's just really interesting to see just the 3D imagery from this. I mean, this is a really cool program. It's a really, really cool program. And the cool thing about it too here is that we can also take a look at the satellite imagery here. And go to the mesoscale 2. And go to the infrared satellite for that. And of course we can see the satellite imagery with Fred as well. With this, we can play it forward. You can see what Fred has been doing. Had a lot of strong convection earlier on in the day, but then it kind of weakened as it got closer and closer towards the coast. You can see all those blacks and whites and even dark reds in some instances. That indicates some very tall, very strong thunderstorm activity. But as it got closer and closer towards the coast, that activity started to deplete a bit more and more. And it didn't intensify any further. So it ended up just kind of seeding a bit. But the cool thing about this is that if we can go back to the beginning of the frame here. Wow, the thunderstorm activity depleted. Wow. We can see this all on 3D as well. Look at this. So you can tell that originally it had some very strong thunderstorm activity with all these blacks and reds and even whites in some spots. You can tell it was very high up in the sky. But then as it continued to move off towards the north, it started to lose that activity. It started to not be as strong. And so that resulted into the general weakening of this tropical system. So that's the one thing right there. That's the one thing right there that we really have to watch out for the most part, is just the storm surge at this point. Storm surge localized flooding. Because it's not expected to intensify into a hurricane anymore. It's just expected to create a tornado threat as well as a flooding threat. And flooding, as I said, is no joke. We got another report here of almost hurricane force winds again. This was reported here at the Franklin County EOC. A 73 mile per hour wind gust report here, just to the north of East Point. So another instance of hurricane force winds as a wind gust within Tropical Storm Fred. So really interesting to say. from this, or to see from this. You're new, you're in Athens, Georgia area. What's the tornado potential? So for you, if we go over to the Storm Prediction Center, we go back to the day one outlook. It's a marginal threat for tornadoes, mainly because this thing doesn't really get picked up by a lot of the upper level wind shear at the, later on this evening. So that's the good news for you all, is that, you know, even though there is a small chance for tornadoes, it's not expected to be anything, you know, big. And not anything compared to tomorrow when it starts to move up into the Carolinas. But still, regardless, I would continue to watch out for it. The main area to watch out for those tornadic storms would be these outer bands right within here. These outer bands can create quick little spin-ups due to the fact that they rotate around the actual tropical system. And if you actually have a thunderstorm that creates a big supercell, which is just a strong thunderstorm, not exactly a big supercell, but creates a supercell, it's going to want to move one way and the hurricane's taking it another, and it kind of creates that little bit of a spin. It kind of twists it on its end. And that's mainly how, that's the generalization of how tornadoes form off of these tropical systems. Now, there's also other areas where tornadoes can form on these tropical systems, and that would be right within the eye wall. Now, the thing of it is this tropical storm is not strong enough to actually create those. I mean, you might see maybe one or two over here on the western side, but on a basis around the entire tropical system, I can't actually say that this thing is producing, you know, any sort of mesovortices that are surrounding the actual eye of the tropical system. But yeah, welcome to the channel, Robin. Nice to see you here. If you do enjoy weather content like severe weather, tropical weather, we're going to be talking about tropics for quite some time here because we are in hurricane season. Winter weather, when it comes to winter and stuff like that, or any sort of general weather that I may need to update you all on, whether it's on a video or a live stream, please be sure to subscribe. Subscribe and turn on notifications because I will be updating you guys and you do not want to miss it when it comes out. Because YouTube has a habit of not alerting people unless if you turn on that notification bell. Will Ohio have any residual from these storms? Yes, they will. Yes, they will. And it will most likely be on Wednesday when that is the case. If we go over to the HWRF model and show you all what Fred most likely will be doing here, and backtrack a little bit to, there we go. This is Wednesday afternoon, and you can see it's dead center over Ohio here. You can see that this is actually almost right over Columbus. And you even have some residual showers and thunderstorms that are on the northern side of it. So I would say these areas in Ohio would probably start getting this activity by Tuesday evening into Wednesday morning. And you know, that's when you guys can start seeing your severe weather. So I'd really watch out for that as this continues to move on through. And then even on Wednesday, for people across Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia, even New York in some spots, you guys could potentially be seeing a severe weather event from the outer bands of this tropical system, because you can see how this kind of forms a little bit of a bowing characteristic. This could potentially be creating some tornadic conditions along that line. So really need to watch out for the most part off of the system. Could Ohio have a severe weather threat from Fred? Yes, they definitely could. I would say so. Hey Nate, the World of Meteorological Organization Hurricane Classification says Fred, which is at the speed of 65 miles per hour, says it's a Cat 1, but National Hurricane Center says a tropical storm. National Hurricane Center has jurisdiction over the intensities of tropical systems, so whatever the National Hurricane Center says, it goes for the most part. And they probably are saying that because some of the damaging wind gusts on land, and these are wind gusts, not sustained winds, of course, have been almost, if not at or around hurricane force strength. So, what is the estimated max speed of Fred? The estimated max sustained wind speed as of right now is 65 miles per hour. The max wind gust, maximum wind gust from Fred has been 75 miles per hour so far. It might even be 80 in some spots, but 75 miles per hour is the highest wind gust we are likely to see here. What about Kentucky? Yeah, Kentucky could definitely see some stuff. It would be probably the eastern side of Kentucky. So if you're not, if you're from Cincinnati and Covington and further south and even east, then you guys most likely will be getting activity. But anything west of Cincinnati, or at least really west of Cincinnati, say near the Mississippi River general vicinity, I think you guys will most likely be clear from this, which will be the good news from that. You're subscribed and turn on the notification bell. Thank you, my friend. I really do appreciate that. And believe me, I really do. We have 12,955 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for contributing to the channel. Because believe me, this stuff helps me in the long run. You know, people coming in, tuning to my channel. You know, me personally, with helping my channel, wanting it to grow. Obviously, you know, of course, it'd be nice to have money on top of it. But, you know, having a following base to interact with, talk about with weather, share my passion, stuff like that. I really appreciate everyone who comes out to the live streams and to my videos. And if you haven't already, and if you have a Twitch account, all right, this is if you have a Twitch account. I am also live streaming on Twitch right now. All right, there's a couple people over there on Twitch. But the reason why I do it on Twitch is because I want to try and get on as many platforms as possible, talking to as many people as possible. And so, you know, if I can try and get the word out as efficiently as I can, I'm going to want to try and expand to different platforms. So Twitch, it actually gets my live stream out a little bit quicker. There's a little bit of a delay on my stream on YouTube. But on Twitch, it actually gets it out a lot quicker. So if you have a Twitch account, feel free to go on to my Twitch and give it a follow. Really do appreciate that. Link is in the chat. What's up, Nick? It's going good. How about yourself? I'm enjoying the stream so far. I've liked it. Your father's in Havana, Florida, says all they're getting is rain and minor wind. Good news. Well, that's very good. That's very good. You're subscribed. Thanks for the information. I hope you are able to blow up and spread info to other people. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. As I said, I appreciate all the people who subscribe to the channel. So thank you, Certified. Good thing about being your own boss is other people want what you have but won't work for it. Well, I mean, that's always the case too, but... help other people, keep them safe, love what you're doing, man. As I said, I really do appreciate that. You have a Facebook and no cable at all at the moment, so glad you found YouTube. Well, yeah, I'm glad that you got your information here, because it would have been you know, I can only imagine not, you know, knowing what's happening and not having enough information with it, so. Yep, I'm glad you found my channel too, and I'll be sure to get you guys as much information as possible. Look at that. So this is from Stas here, who's a storm chaser, who's along the panhandle of Florida. And look at all this storm surge. There's a person driving through all of that rain with his car. But look at how high the water is up into some of these areas. Look at this. Tallahassee, Florida here. Pouring and 20 mile per hour wind gusts. Just subscribed. Lost my home to Michael. Thank you. No problem, crazy Grammy. Thank you for coming out to the live stream. As I said, I really do appreciate you guys. But yeah, this is over here on the Florida Panhandle, and this is very deep water. That's the storm surge that we've been talking about. So really interesting to say the least. I was going to try and get us a camera over in St. George Island, but unfortunately it seems as if the camera actually broke. I think the wind got to it, and so I'm not able to show you all what exactly is happening there on that island, but I do have a couple areas. Other areas of interest to show you all. So let's see if I can pull that up here real quickly. If I can't, I can't. But let's see. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. What can we do here? As I said, this thing has already made landfall here, so this system now, the good news here from the storm is that as it continues to move towards the north, it will weaken more and more and more. So this is kind of like the peak of the intensity here. And then as it continues to move north, it will begin to deplete more and more and more. So what I probably will be doing here pretty soon is I probably will be heading off for the evening. You know, not exactly like 10-15 minutes soon. I probably will head off at about 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 4 p.m. Central Daylight Time. And as I said, I do have to go on to a voice call with some people about my other job because I am a ice hockey coach. I'm a head coach for a ice hockey team, and we're going to be talking about our plans for the season. It's kind of like one of those meetings. We don't really have those a whole lot, but it's just a meeting that we talk about all sorts of hockey and stuff. So I will have to head out. I have to be gone by 7, but the new advisory for these tropical systems come out at 5 o'clock, and we'll most likely be able to see that the National Hurricane Center will say that this will be a much lower storm than it already was. Right now, the National Hurricane Center still has this storm as a 65 mile per hour tropical storm with a low pressure, a minimum pressure of 994 millibars. But I'm expecting this, I am actually anticipating this to weaken as this heads further inland. So that's the good news there. Do we have a tornado threat in Greensboro, North Carolina tomorrow? I do believe that areas in North Carolina will get portions of the tornado threat. In regards to Greensboro being within the threat there, I think they will probably be in it. I think there's a good chance that they will be. It's just in how this thing evolves. That's the big question. So will it be, will it impact you straight head on, or will it be around you like what typical tornado threats do? That's the big question. We can't exactly predict, you know, where each tornado is going to spawn because they're very small things. But we can say that there will be some severe weather activity that will be heading off into your general vicinity tomorrow. So that's my answer, more or less. Hey, Nate Snyder. Want to know if Tropical Storm Fred will be heading towards Richmond. We've been lately getting some terrible weather lately. So Richmond, Virginia, I'm assuming that's where you're asking. You guys could potentially be getting some showers and thunderstorms from this. Not exactly the main portion of Fred. If we take a look at the HWRF parent here, we'll be able to see how this tropical system as it continues to head north. We don't have any rain, unfortunately, to show you all from here. So if you guys see these kind of greens right within this general vicinity, that's just moisture in the atmosphere, and that's where potential thunderstorms could form off of that. So you can see how there is a bit of moisture that starts to spike over there in Richmond, and I do believe that you guys could potentially start getting some showers and thunderstorms from Wednesday into Thursday, and that'll continue to progress as time moves along. So I do think you guys could be getting some showers and thunderstorms, but in regards to the actual center area of low pressure of Fred, I think that will most likely be well off towards your west into places of Ohio. Is Columbus, Ohio going to have a tornado? It's very hard to say right now because it's as far out as it is, but I do think they could have a chance for some tornadic development over there. So I would watch out on Wednesday for you all. I would watch out. Pepper Sprout with the $5 super chat. Thank you, my friend. I really do appreciate it. I really do. Thank you so much for the donation. That money will go right back into the channel, whether it's, you know, the live stream stuff that we have here, or it's storm chasing stuff. Your pastor's a self-proclaimed weather nerd. He texts me and tells me when to hide closer to God, I say. Yeah. And that's good, too. That's good that your pastor is very close to weather. Wall cloud near Bay County. Is there? That's interesting. Stas followed me. What? Nice. Stas followed me. Yo. I love you, Stas. I hope you know this. That is pretty crazy. Can I get some excitement in the chat? Because Stas is a storm chaser. He's currently out there in all of this at the moment. So can I get some excitement in the chat? I know I'm excited. That's great. I mean, he's out there showing us all what's happening there. He's out there in the thick of things, showing people what these storms could do. It's been very blustery on your side. We've been flickering for the past hour. Expect to lose power here very soon. And I would say so too. Let's actually see power outages. We do have a power outage map here. So let's actually take a look and see what the power outage is over there. So here in Florida, we do have 12,000 customers without power over there. Specifically over in Calhoun County. There's a couple people over in Gulf County. And when I mean a couple, I mean 855 people without power over there. And then in Calhoun, there's 1,187 customers out there without power as well. And then Franklin County, of course, you know, that one's going to probably take the cake for the most part, with 1,857 people without power over there as well. So, yeah, there's a couple people, and as I said, when I mean a couple, I mean quite a few people. There are quite a few people without power at the moment. But because it isn't a hurricane, we're not, you know, it's not a lot. So that's the good news. Not sure how to get excited on here. Jeez. I mean, that's true. It is the internet. Yeah. Best way to get excited is to probably just to say yay, I guess. Let's see. What's going on with Grace? Nothing too much, honestly. We're going to have a new advisory here within the next 30 minutes as to what Grace is doing. It is currently hitting Hispaniola. So that's the one thing there. But then once it gets past Hispaniola, it's the same old as we've been talking about before. It most likely will be heading out towards Jamaica and Cuba, and then eventually out towards the Cayman Islands, most likely as a tropical storm by Tuesday evening into Wednesday morning. And then once that continues to move on through, then it'll continue to intensify as it heads towards the Gulf of Mexico. Atlanta weather, hello, hello. What's up? Welcome to the live stream. How are you? Who's more excited, you or Reed Timmer, when he sees a tornado? Oh, I'll be even more excited when I see a tornado because I haven't seen one yet in my life. And I'll be pretty excited when I see a tornado. Because I've seen funnel clouds, I've seen wall clouds. I lose my mind for that too. Fred looks like it surprised those folks seem to have matured a bunch today before landfall. Yep, it did mature a lot prior to landfall, but the only thing about it is that it didn't intensify due to a hurricane due to the fact that there is a lot of wind shear and a lot of dry air seeping into the system, and it kind of is just discombobulating the entire thing. So that's the main reason as to why this is not as strong as some people may have thought it could have been. Although the National Hurricane Center did say that this will most likely become a 60 mile per hour tropical storm by landfall. It ended up being 5 miles per hour higher, but some other people even thought this could be a Category 1 hurricane. But that's the thing right there, is that it had a very short window of opportunity. The wind shear limited its intensification so that it would slowly intensify, and then the dry air kind of just seeped in to make this not as intense as it should have been. Or not even should have been, as it could have been. I personally don't want to see one, and I understand that too. I mean, don't do what I do and want to go into these things. You know, you should be doing the opposite. You should be trying to get into some sort of structure and riding it out. But in this case, you know, for me, I'm crazy that way. I'm indeed crazy that way. Best coverage of Fred, bar none. Thank you, Ryan Liz. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Slept through a tornado in Tallahassee, heavy sleeper. Yeah. I mean, if it was a lower end, you know, tornado, then you could definitely sleep through it. Of course, there could be some localized damage from it, but yeah, there could be some instances where it's just so weak to the point where you don't even notice it. But they'd have tornado warnings issued and stuff like that to where you would notice anyways. So that's the good news there. It's going to be bad for Atlanta commuters tomorrow morning. Oh, yeah. 100%. There's a lot of rain expected with this. And actually, if we can go over and see the amounts of rainfall that is expected with this, 2 to 6 inches of rain is possible there in the metropolitan areas of Atlanta. So that is really going to be something to watch out for. Localized area of flooding. You know, as I said, turn around, don't drown, don't drive into flooded roadways. Because, you know, flooded roadways can appear a lot shallower than they actually are. And that's how cars get stuck in them. Or even if you have trucks and stuff that can drive over that, water can still get into your engine and your battery. And that can fry your system as well. So it's just better safe than sorry. Better safe than sorry that you do not drive through flooded roadways. You want to hear a tornado howl or growl? That would be a surreal moment for me if I ever hear that. But that would probably contain a strong tornado, more than likely. A nocturnal violent tornado is nightmarish? Oh yeah. Especially if it has a lot of lightning with it. You know, the only way you can actually see the thing is by lightning. It makes you a bit more disoriented, I would assume. Because then you're like, oh, it's right there. Oh, it's right there. We were moving out, and after we locked the door for the last time, a tornado came like 5-ish minutes after. That seems legit. And I'm assuming that your house was put up for sale. The value of the house had to have gone down after that. Regardless if it was major damage or not. Just wait for the water to go down, could take hours. You could also take an alternate route to where you want to go as well. Of course, it would take a little bit longer than the time of which you could drive through the water, but as I said, we labeled the reasons as to why you shouldn't do that. So, I think safety would have to overtake timings of getting there on time. Yes, it did. All the pine trees were down around the apartment. Woke up in a twilight and heard a train. Yipes, very scary. Oh yeah, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. My son's school and my office were hit by a tornado back in January. It was an F0, but strong enough that my ears were popping because I work on the 5th top floor. Yeah. And the thing about those with tornadoes is that they drop in pressure. It's very similar to how a hurricane has a lower millibar than areas around it. Low pressures typically have lower pressures, of course. And so that is associated with hurricanes and tornadoes in this instance. And so that's the reason why your ears pop, is because it's the pressure difference. Pop right within your vicinity. And that's a good indication as to whether or not there could be a tropical system or not, or even a hurricane within your tropical system. And hurricane is the same thing, obviously, or even a tornado within your area. So really interesting, really interesting. I'm having a nice little chat with you all right now. I am not going to lie. This is very good. Appreciate you all hanging out with me. I really do. Looking at the satellite imagery, latest information shows that there is a bit more showers and thunderstorms that are starting to form over Panama City here. Here's the center area of low pressure that is about to move over the main portions of the panhandle of Florida. And as this continues to propagate towards the north and east, this will continue to interact with a lot more land and eventually weaken further. So most likely will not maintain its current strength of 65 miles per hour. I'm anticipating within the next update, which will be relatively soon here. I'll actually put IEM-bot here, IEM-bot, and I'll turn on the notifications for that. Yeah, Tropical Cyclone Fred just got issued. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. So I guess we'll have to wait a little bit further. But yeah, pretty soon we're going to be getting some advisories on Tropical Depression 8, which could be Tropical Storm Henri, Tropical Depression Grace, and Tropical Storm Fred. And then once that's done, we will most likely be heading off for the evening. So is Nightbot you? I don't want to troll messing with it. Nightbot is a it's not exactly my bot, but it's a bot that I told what to say while it's in chat. Basically, it tells people standards, guidelines, and stuff that they could follow me on with for more information. So basically, yes, it is. The Real Theo, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Haven't seen you in a bit. How are you, my friend? Got anything to say about Afghanistan? As long as we can get all of our people out in time, all will be fine, but it's gonna be close. It's gonna be very close. That's all I'm gonna say about it. I won't say anything about, you know, people in charge. I won't say anything about, you know, the Taliban or whatever. It's just, I care about my people, and as long as they are safe, then I am content. Can you pull up a wind chart scale of Hurricane Laura? I might be able to. I'll have to see if I can do it on a separate screen over here. I'll play the satellite imagery over and over again here for you all. Been a subscriber for quite a while now. You get better and better, Nate. Thank you from Ohio. Well, thank you for sticking around for quite some time. I mean, where do you get your patience? But thank you so much. Thank you for sticking around on the channel. And it's people like you who keep me going and keep this channel alive. Bonk. We get some Twitch action. We got someone from Twitch who finally said stuff in the chat. There we go. Bonk. Yeah, we have 335 followers on Twitch. As I said, I really do appreciate all the people who follow me on Twitch. We're going to try and get as many followers as possible from that so that we can try and get as many, you know, as many people watching the stream as possible. Because if we have more people watching, then we can get the word out a lot more efficiently. So if you haven't already on YouTube, if you haven't already followed me on Twitch, please sure to do so. Link will be in the chat there. And if you're also new on YouTube here, you're watching me for the first time, feel free to subscribe. I do analysis like this on these tropical systems as much as possible. I cover tropical weather, so hurricanes, tropical storms, tropical depressions, all sorts of stuff like that. I cover severe weather like tornadoes and hail and wind and stuff like that as well. Winter, like wind, well, wind chills, temperatures, snow and ice. So if you feel like this type of content you're kind of interested in, and you want to stay up to date with what's happening in the United States, even across the world, if I decide to make videos for other portions of the world if I see fit, then feel free to subscribe. It's free. On YouTube, at least. On Twitch, you know, that's what following is for. But on YouTube, feel free to subscribe. I really would appreciate it. Thank you, Severe Weather Alert. As I said, you know, without you people staying here watching my streams and shows and stuff like that, really do appreciate it. And my channel wouldn't be anywhere without you guys. Nate, would you prefer to see hurricanes from the ISS or from home? I would probably say from the ISS, because I don't think there's an instance to where anyone would be able to go out into space. And I could easily go somewhere else and just, you know, storm chase once I'm done from space. So I would have to say the must-see would have to be from the ISS. Can you ask me where I am based out of? Sure, Southern Pennsylvania. That is where I am at the moment. Let's get Nate to 13,000 subscribers on the stream. I don't think we're gonna get that high today. I think we will eventually get it. We probably will get it by the end of this week. We have 12,962 subscribers, so we're pretty close. But I think we'll be able to get 13,000 subscribers by the end of this week. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm able to pull up Lara's wind data here. I'd have to take a look at the stuff with that. Ryan the Meteorologist, what's up? Death Dorito, hello on Twitch. Nice to see you over there. Yeah, nice to see the people over there on Twitch hanging around as well. See Echo Tops at 50,000 feet on the flash flood warning over there in Florida. Yeah, I mean, that would make sense with the eye wall and the heavy convection that's ongoing over there. Would not be surprised if that's the case. And look at this. You know, you can see this tropical system as it progresses. Look at that. I mean, it's definitely over land now if you didn't think it was already. Here it is. Already moved over Mexico Beach. Already moved off towards Weewahichka. This thing is definitely trucking about. I'll say that much. IEMBot has not updated me in regards to updates with either Grace, Fred, or Tropical Depression 8. But as soon as that does come out, I will be telling you all what's up with that. And then, as I said, then we will probably head out for the evening. What will be the impacts for Pennsylvania? So on Wednesday for Pennsylvania, you guys are most likely going to be seeing, well, I should say, because I live over there as well. We will most likely be seeing some damaging winds and potentially a tornado threat that could move on through as a localized area. So, I would just continue to watch out for it. And I think when I say Pennsylvania, I'm more inclined to believe that it's just central and western portions of Pennsylvania. Eastern portions of Pennsylvania is going to be a bit of a stretch if some of those bands can get across over there in time. But I have a tough time seeing that happening. So definitely western Pennsylvania is going to get stuff. Pittsburgh, anywhere along the border of West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, you guys are most likely going to be getting some stuff. But otherwise, if you're in Eastern, I think you guys are most likely not going to get a whole lot. Panama City, Florida here. Electric has been out for about an hour. Oh yeah, there's been localized areas of power outages here. Let's see if we can update the power outage map. That's a new update that just came in from IEMBot, so that means something with tropical weather just happened. Franklin County in Florida here. This is not Panama City. That's Gulf is Panama City, of course. Either that or it's Bay. But actually, I'm more inclined to believe it's Bay. I think it's Bay. Franklin County, 3,597 people without power. There you go. A plethora amount of people over there. Gulf County has 1,097 people without power. Calhoun County, which is just north of the coast, the coastal counties, 900 people without power. And then Bay County, which is where Panama City is and Mexico City is, 3,523 people without power. We got Henri, do we? Or Henri? And there it is. Fred and Henri has been issued. We have a new tropical system. Breaking news. A new tropical storm has been designated in the Atlantic. There it is. There's Fred. And there's Henri. And here's Grace. I believe it's pronounced Henri, I believe, anyways. I would think it's pronounced Henri. Because it seems to be French. Either that or it's Henry. But I think it's Henri. So, very interesting to say the least. We're getting a bunch of updates from IEMBot. Another advisory from Hurricane Linda. Tropical Storm Fred. which is now a 60-mile-per-hour storm. So there's the general weakening of this system now. So that's exactly what we said here. As soon as it went over land, it's going to weaken, and it already weakened 5 miles per hour. So that's the one thing there. It will continue on this weakening trend. However, storm surge will still be an issue here from Indian Pass all the way over to the Steinhatchee River, even down towards Yankeetown and Aprika. Storm surging upwards of 3 to 5 feet is possible here. So really something that we got to watch out for. But very, very interesting to say the least here from Fred, that this thing is still trying to do stuff, still trying to create impacts, but try all it can, it's still going to weaken. So very good news here. Here's the latest flooding map here, the latest flooding map from the Weather Prediction Center, or not the flooding map, I should say, total rainfall map here. You can see that orange and yellow has started to get smaller and smaller, but leftover rain is still possible, especially around Panama City. It's possible to have 6 inches of rain still within your general vicinity. So I would continue to try and stay away from the coast and stay away from low ground, get to higher ground if you can. And then the other thing here is that I'm not sure if you guys can see. I definitely can see it. Let's see if I can zoom in. Yeah, I can zoom in. Here within the Appalachian Mountains, we have this giant band of 6 to 10 inches of rain. And then we also have this little red dot right here, just to the south and east of Knoxville, just to the east of Chattanooga. That indicates 10 inches of rain or higher. And that is, yeah, that is pretty high for some of those areas. Expect flash flooding to be the concern over there. But yeah, that's big. That's another tropical system that's here. We have 3 actual named storms. You know, this was 8, but now we have 3 actual named storms here. So Henri, Fred, and Grace. Should Atlanta be worried? I think for a localized flooding risk, I think you guys should watch out. You guys could potentially have rainfall amounts in upwards of 4 to 6 inches in localized areas. But still something to still something that I wouldn't like freak out exponentially over. Do I think the tornado risk will increase from a 5% to a 10%? I would have to say no. I'd say the wind shear is not strong enough to do that. Definitely, you know, I always could be wrong. Anyone could be wrong in this instance, but I could be even more wrong in some instances. I would have to say, though, that it would probably stay as a 5% chance for tornadoes within a 25-mile radius. But yeah, Tropical Storm Henri, Tropical Storm Fred, and then, of course, Tropical Depression Grace still meandering about in Hispaniola. What should Charlotte expect, especially Mecklenburg, Caribous, and Rowan counties? So you guys actually are in a risk for tornadoes tomorrow throughout the entire day. So the big thing there is that you do have a 5% chance for tornadoes within a 25-mile radius, so 25 miles of a point. And you guys really need to just kind of watch out for the most part as to how this thing continues to consolidate. Those outer bands from Fred here, if we go back a bit more, you can see these little outer bands here, and that's the main concern for most of these tropical systems. These little outer bands can create these little spin-ups, and those spin-ups can end up producing tornadoes. So, big reason as to why there is a tornado risk over there, and I would continue to watch out for that. Someone told me to take a look at the latest cone for Grace. And okay. Breaking news, National Hurricane Center says that this will most likely become a hurricane once it gets into the Bay of Campeche, heading off into Mexico. So the National Hurricane Center agrees with my analysis that I had earlier on in my video this morning, that this will most likely stay relatively south of Texas for the most part. However, it could still turn up to the north, still could potentially turn off to the north if the wind shear from that ridge that we were talking about earlier is not strong enough to keep it balanced there. But it is anticipated to become a hurricane once it gets into the Bay of Campeche past the Yucatan Peninsula. Another thing too here is that this is the cone that takes this as a tropical storm once it gets over Jamaica and then right over the Cayman Islands, a potential tropical storm there for you all as well. So I would really want to watch out for that as much as possible if you guys are over there. And by Tuesday afternoon, the storm will most likely be going around near Jamaica. By midnight on Tuesday into Wednesday, the tropical storm will most likely be over the Cayman Islands. And then by Wednesday afternoon, we'll be really watching out for how this thing continues to intensify and whether or not that will be significant enough to really impact places like Cozumel, Cancun, and the Yucatan Peninsula. Good call, Evelyn. Good call. That was really interesting. That was a really good call there. Zeta, I don't believe this would pull as Zeta. I think Zeta, with the environment that Zeta was in last year, there wasn't really a whole lot of wind shear. And I'm not saying that wind shear is going to be a main factor in strength with this tropical system. It really won't. But it's still going to impact the flow of this and how this continues to move on through. So I don't think this will be a complete Zeta. It might rapidly intensify. It definitely could rapidly intensify within this time period here. Who knows? We could be seeing Cancun here potentially being being impacted by a hurricane. That is a definite possibility. But as of right now, I don't think that it's a super high likelihood. I think it's about 25% chance that it could be a hurricane. And of course, I'll have to see a bit further as to what happens once it gets done with Haiti, which I'll probably have my answer tomorrow morning for you in tomorrow morning's video. Not exactly early tomorrow morning, probably be around 9 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Eastern, sometime around that when I'll actually upload my video. So make sure you turn on notifications because YouTube does not inform you all as to when I actually upload or even go live unless if you all have your notifications on. So if you guys want to stay up to date with all this, please be sure to do so. Please hit that bell button right next to the subscribe button. How does the Toricon on the Weather Channel determine tornadoes? It's just a likelihood out of 10 within a, I think it's a 50-mile radius or a 25-mile radius. Can't remember all too much, but that's the big change right here, guys. That's the big change within the models here, within the National Hurricane Center, is that this will become a hurricane. As I mentioned earlier on, I said last night that this will become a hurricane if it gets into the Gulf of Mexico. I said this morning in the video that this will become a hurricane once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico. And now here we are, the National Hurricane Center agrees with my statement that this will become a hurricane once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico. So big consistency there. Have I seen that wave that's coming off of Africa? Yeah, but there's a lot of dry air around it, so it most likely won't form anytime soon. And it'll probably deplete most of the moisture there as well. So, that's another thing. Reed Timmer says that this could potentially be a tornado outbreak. I'm not exactly sure. I can't exactly say for certain that it'll be a tornado outbreak. Actually, I have a lot of hesitancy calling that a tornado outbreak. Just the wind shear is not... Like, unless if I haven't seen a whole lot, like, if I'm not as up-to-date as I thought I was, which could also be the case, too. Could also be the case. But I'm going to go on to the NAM 3 kilometer here. And then I'm going to go on to the significant tornado parameter just to cherry pick some stuff. And this could give me an idea as to what will happen. I mean, it has some good... It has some really good values according to the significant tornado parameter. So who knows? We might actually see a widespread tornado event there. But as of right now, I can't say for certain. I'd have to wait until surface observations for tomorrow morning and seeing how Fred progresses over land. Yep, thanks, kinda. I'll see you later. Alright, well now since we got all the information out from the latest advisory from the National Hurricane Center, actually I want to take a look at Henri one more time, and they even say that won't be a hurricane as well, so that's something interesting. Now since we got all the information out that we possibly could about this tropical systems, I think it's time for me to go ahead and head out for the evening. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the live stream. If you did, please be sure to leave a like. That helps me out a lot. We did cover the landfall of the system as it got towards the coast. So that's really good for us. Really good for us a lot. Just some final thoughts. Some people asked how quick will Fred move out. By Wednesday, it'll be off over near Morgantown, West Virginia. So basically near Pittsburgh, more or less. And it'll continue to move off towards the north and east that way. So it'll be moving, pretty fast for the most part, but not too fast. It'll be carried by some of the wind shear. So, yeah, that's the big thing. Grace most likely will intensify back into a hurricane. Well, not back into a hurricane, but into a hurricane eventually. Fred will continue to weaken as this continues to move off to the north and east. Decent tornado threat, though, over the Carolinas and even parts of Georgia tomorrow. I'll update you guys tomorrow morning on that threat. So please, as I said, I can't reinforce it enough. Turn on channel notifications. Turn on the bell. You'll see a little bell right next to the subscribe button. If you hit the bell, you'll be updated on everything that I upload. So please do that. That would be greatly appreciated. As I said, thank you all so much for coming out on both YouTube and Twitch. If you haven't already followed me on Twitch, please be sure to do so. That includes the people who are watching on Twitch. I'm looking at you all. And I will see you all tomorrow, everyone. So peace out.